with a an old 20 watt heat kit that I built myself. And that guy talked to what he printed me out on the ground one night. He had a little CW transmitter that had about 20 watts on him. And he talked to a guy in the Marshall Islands on CW. You know, I thought that was one of the greatest things I ever heard. 20 watts power.
Morse code.
You can do it with antennas, like you're talking about. You can take a dish type antenna and bounce it off with 1 watt. You can bounce it off the moon and bounce it back somewhere else. Moon bounce. See that guy that ham in the spacecraft? I forget what his name was. The first ham that went up. For 1 watt handheld, all he had.
What do you do, stick the antenna out the window?
I don't know. I think they had. Well, they have.
I don't remember that.
I think they had a little small antenna wire in a window there.
I wonder what that, those bodies they recovered, if they
I just wondered about that.
had much trouble identifying them.
I don't know. I just wondered.
Looks like with an explosion like that, they would have been in little smithereens.
They never did put out too much that I could see.
Apparently they just blew that cabin away.
So the cabin didn't explode until it hit the water.
Oh, really?
That's what I heard one night.
You just can't imagine that thing would have stayed intact, that kind of explosion.
Probably built pretty sturdy. Well, they said the explosion wasn't all that. They said it was a lot of fire and stuff, but it wasn't really powerful.
Wasn't contained, but
So
he went every direction
I
at
don't
the
know
same
what kind
time.
of forces were involved.
Would be like being in a room or something because it doesn't, wasn't contained.
Maybe I missed out on the news in the paper, but I never did see anything about anybody school teacher being buried.
Well, they had services for them, but I don't think
Yeah, they buried them all.
their actual remains, they didn't do that, did they?
Where'd I miss the bread at? Who got the bread?
Well, they showed them putting a grave in there, and they removed the flowers off as soon as they got them put on, so it was not caught in attraction. So as soon as they left the cemetery, they took the flowers off.
We can tell anybody,
Anybody else's?
When was that guy that did that, the broadcast? You know?
He was, he's in one of these, about 2 years ago.
Really? In the space shuttle?
Yeah. In this space shuttle program. He was a ham, I can't know what you call those are now, but
One of the scientists or something?
one astronaut, I don't know. Yeah. He had a ham license, and the ham made a big thing out of it. They put out all the magazines, everything. The orbits, you had to catch him coming right over. See? And he was gonna listen on certain frequency, and you had to be knowing when he was coming over, and then everyone that he had heard, the next orbit he was going to recognize back yet, and they put it on tape, and everyone that he recognized, they put on tape. You could get a QSL card from them, of course, you know. They a lot of hams, that's their recognition of certification. You actually talk to somebody. Very few got one from outer space, so everybody was trying to. Some of them built some of the most sophisticated antennas you ever seen, dishes and things to hit him with, you know. Some of them come up with some original design because with 1 watt of power up there, him moving at that speed, you didn't have it. Just a few. The window wasn't open very long. A lot of them hit him. I tried, but I couldn't with mine. Because I didn't have a beam I could turn straight up. If I could have turned my beam straight up, I might have hit him.
Well, can you transmit with a dish or something? Can you transmit it in somewhat of a controlled direction?
I know what a dish is.
I know, I said transmit.
Yeah.
It's just receiving pattern and transmitting the same pattern.
Let me say, it's just a question of That's what a dish is, it's so totally directional that,
I know, but transmitting dish, you don't get anything out here on the sides?
not much.
They're wearing purple and orange, you know.
It's got a beam with just about like that. Looks just like
I mean,
that.
actual physical width?
He brings that thing around, Ken, and just bring her in one direction. See, instead of an Omni, it just bring her around, push her in one direction.
You can hook a dish up here and hook a dish up in Texarkana and run your radio on me.
Well,
You have
that's
to
what,
bounce
that's
up.
what microwave is, Ken, that's how they transmit nearly all. They just put one dish up and shoot it right to another, not cross country, for most communication taking place.
You'd have to have it high enough where it wouldn't hit something else, so. I mean, you'd have to have them so in line of sight, or bounce it off something, like a satellite.
And you gotta have a frequency, and you got,
Yeah, it has to be real high frequency, too.
right, be real high frequency, and you then would have to be allocated one, and they're just like a lot of everything else, they're not available. You have to have a lot.
What about laser transmission? Can you
Can't do
transmit?
that because the atmosphere would clear by the time it got anywhere, any distance. Same thing, you could bounce it off satellite.
They've been
Shoot it on
shooting,
satellite.
been shooting lasers off the moon. Bouncing them.
Here's some water right now, now.
You've done any work in fiber optics yet, right?
They just now, they're starting to, they just got some stuff for fiber optics this year, but they haven't done anything with it yet.
Well, that's a whole new field, it's beginning to really open up, got a lot of opportunities in it.
Fiber optics, it's like, that's a wave guy. General terms, whatever. They use lasers with those.
But y'all be
That way,
careful though,
that way you don't have them.
you gotta be careful with a laser, but with fiber optics, you know, the boy pick one up, look down and see the lights coming through there and get eye surgery on you.
Do they use that high of a power though on these things?
Depends on what they're doing.
That
But,
depends on how.
Power would make an awful lot of difference because it's so concentrated.
yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It does
Like
make
we
a
got some lasers at school that they're so low power that you'd have to look at it for, you're not supposed to look right in the beam, but if you just looked at it for a second, it wouldn't
Well, your fiber optics is, one of the handicaps is you got to have your repeater station pretty, you can't chip it too off the ball,
Oh, you can't, not even fiber optics?
you got to rebuild your power. At this stage.
fiber optics has really done some great things for knee surgery, or for surgery generally. You know, they can look down inside your stomach. They can operate on your leg. You got a little bitty incision in your leg, run that knife up in there and see exactly what you're doing. And just things, you got little scissors and everything. You go in there and cut things with.
What they used to look at Wesley in his stomach.
Mm-hmm.
They ran some kind of a little tube down him.
Well,
He said he was right where the big guy this morning.
about 6 years ago, I was at a meeting similar to one that I was in Dallas last week.
Blood in him.
They introduced fiber optics, and it's in that length of time, it's just called a major technology. So last week I heard a guy that worked at Tesco, got a PhD in communications, electrical engineer. He got his PhD in engineering, and he's designed a system for using fiber optics and connecting all the big, HP and L, DP and L, and all the Tesco group in downtown Dallas. He's pulling fiber optics in. You see, they got conduit for the electrical cables down there now.
Mm-hmm.
And the center one, because of the ratio of the heat factor in that, they can't use that center conduit because there's too much heat. The formula whatever it is, they leave it vacant there because the heat buildup. Well, fiber optics doesn't create any, and it doesn't generate any induction, see? So they can pull it in this spare cable in there, and all these communications that tied all these nuclear plants down, and wrote all that stuff together. It's in fiber optic field. And of course they're using, in our industry, it's used primarily because it does not, it's not affected by induction from another source.
I can't believe that now.
Get around you big,
Or you couldn't run it. You couldn't run a communication line down through those things with all that. You said there was a power line and stuff? Because all that 60 hertz would go over and
would lead over. And you get out here on a say a 345 line where you got such induction on the right of way to try to use it also. Yeah, but the fiber optic problem. They're wrapping that stuff now. They're making cable with the center of it with fiber optic. And they're using it on transmission lines. They're straining it up across the country and using it as a static. And then they've got a technology where they're just racking it around the static. The major problem is connections and stuff like that. It's a major problem.
has to be a line.
Tells us something about how old we're getting in our society whenever you have a Mother's Day and ain't no kids there. Not little babies.
No little babies. I'm surprised that no babies were there. That's
That's a hint.
I thought, well, it's gonna be some coming in through the front.
We didn't even have any babies born to a young couple in our church. All the babies that we could think of were grandbabies of people.
That's unusual.
Because at Marbley, they have, like, when they first come back, you know, bring the child there, they'll have a little prayer and a little flower for them. And I bet you well, it's a big church, you know, but I mean, every week there's a baby.
I bet if they waited, it'd be fun if they waited.
They have to take up the whole
Have them
service.
all there.
I was so afraid they wasn't gonna have those carnations to go around.
He ordered 200.
You're kidding!
And I guess he didn't have enough then.
Most of them go.
Those were pretty orphans that... What's her name, Drew?
Miss
Is that thing
Kelso,
going
I wondered
Yeah,
where
she grew those. She's gonna take them to her mother-in-law today.
I mean, but most people don't get it.
Well, I just built it, Joyce.
What's your
Oh, get a pile of them. Dirty.
For
Just water all over the floor.
Well, it just soak in.
Well, it'll get out the post absorb it.
You don't do anything about it,
It'll
do you?
evaporate.
Soak in the carpet worse.
This
This is the dirty part. That's all we needed. We cleaned it up. No problem. Here. Sit down.
Let me have a big towel.
When you graduate, Chris,
June the 14th. Y'all all invited to come sit up.
He's
You're invited to come see.
he's on his last course right now.
Last two courses.
Just for the record, I'm saving y'all a lot of misery. On May the 17th, they're having my graduation. I won't be there, so I don't plan for y'all to be there.
where you graduate from?
Your
East
master's
Texas
in
State.
Texas.
I'm gonna get my
Oh, you-
master's
She's
degree.
gonna be a
Maybe.
master.
Maybe.
Masters.
Maybe.
Masterette. Master
Master.
Shell.
Get a masterette.
Master
I wanted you to
Shell.
know I saved y'all some misery this time.
Well, that's great. I don't know how,
Especially since it's not
I don't
all
know how you got
language
that.
They kind of have you.
degree when you was in Florida or Mississippi, Georgia, or
Georgia Wilcox still out there.
She's getting to be a bigwig out there now.
She,
No.
She's in charge of
She was on my
graduate placement. I think she's going to get her doctor's degree somewhere.
she was one of my students out there. And she gave me a plaque that's hanging up in there. And Joyce said, who that gave you that plaque? We just come from graduation. And I said it was that little grandma that got out of the car right in front of us.
That's David. Remember David?
And I took more of the computer and management Yeah, Cheryl ordered her captain down and all, and then they put it on the side the other day, she just wasn't gonna walk across the stage. I said, well, let Frida walk across for you.
They make you go to Latrell. Get out of it.
You need to. I think you need to after all that work.
Well,
I'm gonna enjoy
at
it.
graduation night at Frida's graduation was the poorest experience I've ever seen.
Really.
And Ken figured Sheriff would be worse, because this lady from Stamps was supposed to speak.
She's a new woman that wrote a book on, made a career on bad mouthing her hometown.
I
Got the
saw
old
that
president
movie.
and all that movie business down there.
Have you ever seen the movie?
No, but I know,
Movie.
no, I know him, no intent to see it. I know about it though.
I didn't see anything about it that bad mouthed them.
Mother, you can go to it anyway. See how it was. You got your driver's license.
He's gonna figure yours, you know.
They probably don't know yet either.
I thought I was gonna, well, I didn't stay for all of it, I got, well, I guess I hurt bad feelings, but I like to pass out in hers.
Samini?
Oh, it took them, how long, just march in?
I don't know.
About an hour.
Well, if you come to my graduation, it'll be short and sweet. There'll only be about probably 20 of us there or something. I don't
For
know.
summer school, it's long.
And it's kinda like, I heard the
It'll be great.
governor,
You graduate on what, Friday or Saturday?
Saturday morning, the 14th.
Y'all leave on Monday then?
10 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
10, 10:30.
heard Governor Briscoe one time, I met him up, he was dedicating a highway up at, well, 271 that joins that new interstate or turnpike in Oklahoma, and we came down there, and it was the afternoon, and there was OU and Texas football game on, and lots of people was in a big hurry to get away. He just went on, and they people did, you know, all the chambers and everything, they had to give everybody credit for this, and what everybody done, participating, there's 2 states involved there. Finally somebody hollered out from the crowd, said, why don't you recognize the trees?
Long enough, huh?
They had really drugged it out.
Cheryl, there was chocolate ice cream out there.
Uh,
Anybody wanted it to go with their cookies.
we'll call your parents and tell them too, but
What do you mean?
I don't know.
we won't come out and make ourselves at home.
What are they?
They're gonna have to, because there won't be no home for them to come see. I'll be in a box.
Everything's planted.
Whatever we do, you stuff, you're gonna put it in your apartment,
My kids
put it in there.
slipped at your house last night.
Cost her $135 for 3 months, which is why
She'll have her home by then. Bedroll.
I'm $285 a month, so. That's what we're gonna do.
What you gonna do with your car? Leave it up there in Dallas?
No, but we don't want it to be driven all the time down here.
You know.
Why can't you leave it
Well,
on
you'll
the
have to keep
Charles's?
it, otherwise the tires will go flat on the bottom, it'll just get
Yeah, I
part of that
know.
slump whenever they roll over.
Got a Kathy's garage.
But
It won't be driven all along, but now listen, we've got a car for everybody but Misty. Now, there ain't nothing wrong with her kinda ripping it down the
Doesn't
road
need
every
to
once in a
sit all
while.
summer.
What we'll do, we'll let you use our
should
car
drive it a
then.
little bit.
Well,
She can use your
they
car.
have to leave it in her
I
garage.
think that's a fair swap.
You gotta get to Dallas, and then can you?
Well, I thought somebody was.
Actually, it'd probably be better to let her use our car. 'cause
It
she
would,
wouldn't drive it
we'll-
as much.
We'll be ridden off of it.
Where are you gonna leave it, down to Bubba's or somewhere?
Bubba's.
Just gonna leave it here,
Bubba's.
park somewhere and
Who?
get rid of the keys.
Who?
The
Get
car.
rid of the keys.
Who?
Leave our car here, so what we.
Maybe you better leave it down at the
We were gonna
dog.
let this boy from school use it because he's gonna go to work for E-Systems and he doesn't have a car or anything. He's already left the country now, so we don't know how to get in touch with him.
When y'all leaving?
She's ain't gone to work for E-System?
No, but his parents are missionaries in Italy, and so they were coming for
They're on
like a
furlough.
month. They were gonna travel, and then he was gonna go up there, so
He's going to Canada. I think it was in Canada.
Y'all still going to Israel?
they're gonna leave the 16th of June.
You been checked out in a burp gun yet?
What's that?
What kind you have to carry over there?
Chris can move that.
Huh? No, women carry them too.
No, I do. I'll be carrying the luggage or something.
Y'all wavering up on me too, so. He went and canceled his European trip.
I don't have to go to work till 9 and I'm
He wasn't gonna take no burp gun on there.
How else we don't come
They
back,
won't let
they'll
you
be
take
rich
them
or
over, you
something.
have to pick one up and get there, I think.
Who'll be rich? I thought you was leaving all your
Yeah,
world.
I'll give y'all about $10. Y'all take out a lot of
Go
this
with
flight
it.
insurance, and half of it to your parents, and half of it to
I
mine.
know
And
you'd
say,
be rich.
say, we sure do miss so much. About Christmas time.
Now, man,
Daddy helps, doesn't he?
what airline you gonna be flying?
I want to fly in El Al, but I guess I don't want to.
You get on that
TWA.
Israeli plane, you got to get there 2-3 hours before the flight. And when they get through with you, they have checked you out before you get on their international flight. Which is not a bad idea.
Kinda makes you feel good.
I told him.
Kinda like that little Mexican girl across the aisle from me last time we were up in London back in December. She went, I said, you worried about anything? She said, no, but says it's always best to be safe. That was some nice people. They invited me down to Mexico City to see. They were putting both two girls in there. They were particularly invited. My daughter's coming down. And y'all got standing invitation. I could ride along there.
Go down there?
So we got quite well acquainted with them. Got acquainted with them in the line whenever we were standing waiting to get our tickets checked in. Well, came along and they says, anybody got any extra luggage allotment that we can use? And I just had my carry-on bag. I said, yeah. I said, I'll check 2 people for you. They had been over 6 months and they had just trunks, you know. So I checked two pieces and they gave me the tickets and I handed them to them. And they didn't have to pay luggage on.
Where they in?
Mexico City.
How much can
I couldn't figure where they was from. They spoke perfect English.
See, we're probably gonna have to get Sky to take some of ours.
Do you have to, how much can we carry without getting charged for it?
44 kilos.
I didn't tell you I thought it was over
That's not very much.
No.
I really didn't know.
22 kilos.
We would have to take a suitcase apiece and
44 kilos.
Kilogram, that's not one.
About
Kilograms.
a little bit, about 90 something pounds. A piece. I think it's 44 kilos each.
Kilograms less than a pound.
The lobby area and all.
Kilos. Well, it's,
Kilogram, see, kilogram, that'd be
I say
1,000.
kilograms, I say kilos.
What's a kilo?
It's 2.2 pounds.
see, they want us to bring some stuff over that they can't buy there.
Oh yeah, I think a kilogram is more than a pound now that I think about it.
It's
Well, a gram, see, that'd be 1,000, a kilogram would be 1,000 grams.
a pound, a kilo is 2.2
How much
pounds.
is a gram
Well,
though? Here's a gram right here. It's about a gram.
What are those saucers right there?
You get 1,000 of those little pieces of lead and you got it.
And you got 2.2 pounds. I had a guy over in Europe one time. Doing interpreting, told me he's finished.
What do they call it?
He's just as serious as he can be. He said, I really appreciate what America's done to me. He says, I can't understand the nation can put a man on the moon using feet and inches. Using feet and inches.
Never on sale. They were kind of one of those clearance sales.
Well, it is really one of the most
They're a little bit big. They split them and have an arrow.
difficult
It slipped on my heels. I figured I'd
things to get in a very fine measurement system in its first range.
They don't. Engineers, I think, hate inches and stuff.
Well,
I know, I don't like using that.
Rich, you better hurry if you want into that dessert.
If you go in my house next 2 weeks, look on
Because
my
it makes stuff so much easier when everything, but you do your math in base 10, why do you use your measurement system in base 12 or whatever?
but it's hard.
It's not even pure base 12.
I know, it's weird. It's all different stuff.
It goes from, get into 16ths, 32nds, and then the thousands.
Yeah, you got thousands.
It gets weird everything. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, it's pretty hard when you think it's about 20, 30 years to convert.
Well, I won't have that problem because I've already converted. It'd be hard for me to go to this old stuff, I guess.
So it's on.
Who else coming down for your graduation?
My grandparents and my parents and my uncle and uncle.
How many spare bedrooms y'all got?
How many years?
Yeah, we
We got 2 spare bedrooms,
No,
like,
2
I've
sisters.
already had my bed.
2 of my sisters are going.
Did
I
you
guess
want
my
to
brother's not
sleep 8 people.
10.
You can sleep 8 people?
You need extra.
Besides that,
That's a lot.
How come?
Hello.
You can put them all down there.
But we'll find a room
We
around
found
there.
up there for it. We got two
Bring
extra
our kids.
bedrooms.
It'd be nice if we had like a trailer or something.
Grandparents have one, but they won't.
I don't think they have. They used to have one.
Well, one of these days, maybe buy me one of these travel trailers for an
They
office.
won't be here till like June 11th.
When is the graduation?
The 14th. So they could stay at our house, but we're gonna have everything all moved out, and so then we still have to put people in people's houses.
Take to put them on the floor every night. Just how it-
We got plenty of room.
Update my Spanish a little bit, so she brings from her beginning.
But then they're gonna go to Mexico or somewhere after that.
Oh, they gonna go to Mexico after the.
I don't know if they're gonna go to Mexico.
They wanna
They're
go-
going
What dates?
Alright, they'll be here either the night of the 10th, which is a Tuesday, June the 10th, or Wednesday sometime, and then graduation's on Saturday.
And I was supposed to go down there the 13th, but I told her I didn't know whether I was
Well-
gonna
Back it
go
up a
late or
week.
what.
Back it up earlier because you drop it down another week, you'll get into me going to Europe.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll see, but I didn't know if they still had a clinic every Friday or just once a month now.
Oh, they gotta do it Friday.
When are you going?
Europe. When I get my hands on that Russian visa.
They still haven't decided where they want you back yet or not?
Well, I'm making some progress on it, but the biggie hadn't come up yet.
So I said it might have been that mop, but I didn't.
I couldn't,
Cause
I didn't know they made any noise except hissing. He stick his tongue out at you, Miss Purdy.
No, he had his head kind of under the couch. But his tail, it looked like an old blunt tail.
Now this was the one you saw the other day? It wasn't black?
Yeah, it was a dark color.
Dressing for the salad over there in that little bitty jar.
I need a stuffed glass.
I was there at the beginning, I think I wasn't coming.
Fair enough.
Like a kitty girl, but big old van they drive. I heard the car door shut. I was coming out the door with the dustbin. And I guess they thought I probably might have been holding them up in there, you know, keep them from coming in. But I told them I'd stay there if they'd stand equal. Now they let me know some Sunday.
Who was it?
It was Michael May and his wife.
Oh,
She taught our Sunday school class this morning. She made a good teacher.
She seems like
Who?
a likable person.
Kitty.
Now,
Michaels.
I get them boys' names and stuff.
He's the oldest.
Was he the one that used to be the telephone boy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, we got that wrong. I haven't had no security light in 2 weeks. 2 weeks today. And, when that tree caught across that, did Miss Jessie ever call you? That Saturday storm on?
I called Sue, listen, I called
I was
Mr.
out.
Jackson.
No, I called Miss Jessie him. I did, yours is unlisted number. And, Miss Dorothy was there and she answered the phone. And she said that she would call you and tell you.
Ain't-
Tell REA. Well, REA truck passed by there and Jesse tried to stop it. Jesse grabbed him and carried him. Here's the oldest boy and a friend of his from
Was
Court
that that
County.
Saturday, remember old
When the
weekend?
storm came through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we was having so many problems, but no, I wasn't saying anything about it.
Well,
I called Dude Jackson though, and his wife said that he might call back in, but she couldn't guarantee because I had called Sue and she said Don wasn't likely to.
Well, this was 2 weeks ago
Well,
yesterday.
best thing you do is probably if you got something like that, just pick up phone, call the office, so they'll make a regular.
Can't get through.
Well, you can't during the storm, you can't during the storm, but if it's major like that, if it's a major storm like we had, the chances are, unless you've just got an isolated case, that your particular problem's already been reported, 400-500 times.
Well, the pole out there where the transformer is, there was such weight on that line until it bent the pole over like this. But now he's put it completely.
The security light pole,
No, the light pole, the transformer's
Okay.
on there in the corner of the yard, but the security light pole, it jerked almost the wire loose from that pole, and it might have I'd afraid to go to church last night, I'd have to come in the dark, of course, Eva's been here the day before from getting murdered, and stayed home on Sunday night.
Well, is that,
What I want
Turn
though,
the air
Donna,
conditioner on, kids, as you get ready.
if you leave it on, if you left it on, but, like I say, there again, if you're gonna burn it a lot less and control it, you will save some money. If you,
I thought about just, not having one of them put up, just have a floodlight put up, and I thought, no, just rather have one of them.
well, what are you gonna base when you're gonna turn it on, while you're, when you're on or when you're there? Or when you've got a
I said I'd
booger,
turn
when you
it
got a
off.
booger out there?
When you got a booger.
Or when you got a booger.
You're not gonna let it burn all the time then?
No, I'm not planning on it.
Okay.
What is this, corn and butter beans?
Yeah, for the cash.
That looks good. I never
Probably
had
too
any
hot.
of that together.
Get too hot, we'll turn it back on.
I'm not sure like myself.
Sure, would you go in and
Fix it for long.
You know, I think if it gets too cool, warm, we'll turn the air conditioner back on.
Yeah, but I can't hear for the phone.
But that pan will heat it now, so it can get warm.
That old salt.
You need some salt?
What you need?
Would you pass the salad, please?
Can I have some of that?
Which one?
Oh, what a treat this is.
Yeah,
Besides what-
take your food over to somebody else's house and eat it.
No.
Or just eating with somebody is what you need.
Joyce, pass the
I
rest,
need to
please.
eat with somebody.
Went over to Miss Purdy's house the other day. Told her I wasn't disappointed if I'd come to her house and didn't have something good to eat, I'd been disappointed. She
She
put
just
out
about
much
didn't have
cookies, she
nothing
just
to eat.
cooked.
And parched peanuts.
And I made it through the rainstorm one time and I got some pies.
You got some ice cream, didn't you?
I don't know, I look back on it these days, when I was a kid, whether I went to Miss Purdy's cause I liked Perry and I liked Miss Purdy, or whether I just liked her good cooking, one of the two.
I think you like Perry more than you did.
I think he was trying to see if he could fit some banana pudding on it.
My mama went
We
with
didn't
it.
have banana pudding every time though.
Ramon liked that banana pudding, particularly we'd get together and compare what desserts we had.
Perry did too, and you know he can't eat it, that gives him indigestion. I bet when he couldn't eat
It was
it
good
for
he got to
some
eat it when he
time.
was young, and then,
I guess so.
oh, Ramon, it was his favorite, was banana pudding, we'd get
That's
together
some of it.
before we decided whose house we was gonna go to.
Devil's food cake's just about Ramon's
Mm.
favorite though.
They all doing all right, Miss Purdy?
As far as I know they are, Don.
I seen Ramon the other day at the homecoming just a moment, he drove up just with leaving. But I had time to see him very often.
Well, I tell you, since they've got their kids married and every special holiday in here, their kids wants to come back home, and I don't blame them for that. And they make it my house right after dinner here every time. Now, Christmas, they came down late with us Christmas because their kids had eaten with them Thanksgiving, and they were supposed to go to the in-laws for Christmas. So that gives them all a chance to come eat with me, but that's about the only time they have a chance. Their kids are there.
That's kind of the way it is with us.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the natural process of things, and it's,
That's right.
I remember doing the same thing with my parents.
Don't you kids get on the 15th of June is Father's Day,
That's next Sunday.
talking about coming in and bringing things.
Well, Freda's already told you she hates to tell you, but she's not gonna be home then.
Well, Cheryl, where you fix to fly off to next?
She's trying to think of some reason to go back to Florida, but
Nothing
She
down
had-
there.
she hadn't made a strong case of
Visiting
it
your status, job, and everything, where you can fly instead of you having to drive that old car all over the place?
She better drive, she better get a driving buddy and go to sleep and let her driving buddy help her.
I had a little talk with my driving buddy. I told her I wanted to end up alive going 55 instead of dead on the side road going 80. You could tell her that foot feet would just be aching to speed up, and she'd stay slow.
Well, you just had her that one trip, didn't you?
No, she flew back down one time, and she went down with me the other trip, so she's been about all 3 trips one way or
She
the other.
likes Florida.
What's down there? It's awfully interested in. I know it's not them alligators.
Well, there's cows down there, and you know cowboys
cows.
follow them cows around.
She was trying to buy some cattle and make some money. I think she finally broke even one time.
Where's she from? You lost?
Sue, you still,
Conway,
you
Arkansas.
eating up?
No, I'm fine.
I got a letter in the mail from Robert Crowcraft. As in Crowcraft.
You got a letter from Crow,
No.
Bob Crow?
Mary had gotten 2 letters from him, and she decided that I needed letters. So they all sat down one day and wrote me this interesting letter. Only it's from Robert Crowcraft, and they offered me a job in a fine Mercedes, and I'm supposed to take care of the customer and be nice. Just long enough for Robert to get to the bank with the check, and then I'm supposed to leave. She's laughing because they're good customers and they weren't.
Crow calf is competitor.
Want some silence, please?
Oh, you got some.
If you use the term loosely, the
Yeah.
only problem is he can't sell them.
I walked into Conway one day and said, well, I guess I'm here a little bit too late, aren't I? They just all kind of laughed at me.
Where's she based?
Plymouth, Minnesota.
Hmm.
So I put out every time I get a customer, he'd go around and try to talk them out of going off my system. They just laugh at him. Because he's just a little bit too fast talking for these southern people. But in any case, I figured I'd fix his wagon one day. So I put out a national mailing and says, if you wonder about these people that said come in and spend a couple of days, get thousands and thousands of dollars up front, spend a couple of days,
Joyce, go ahead and put me a little bit.
It is kind of wisdom.
and then
I'm just white red.
give you a firm shake of the hand, a hearty thank you, and a warm adios. I said, and tell you to be sure and call them during regular business hours at someplace else. Of course, everybody knew who I was talking about. I heard a lot of people laughing about it because they knew they were talking about Bob Crow, because he's in Plymouth, Minnesota. We've got about nearly twice as many systems on as all of our competition put together. So we really
Yeah, but the way the computer business is going, there's gonna be some more of them out there.
Well, they find a programmer that's as smart as I am.
Can they find one?
It's been 3 years developing it, but boy, let him have it.
They'll find one right now.
I don't,
He's probably in the 8th grade right
I
now.
don't toot
sitting
my
there.
own horn, ain't probably nobody else going to, is there?
What's this say?
But Cheryl says the 13-year-old daughter of the people in Madison, Florida is taking up with it. She's on the sale right
She asked
on
me daddy one night, she said, I don't know why they think this is so hard. I don't know what the
The only
problem
thing
is.
that's hard about it is your age that you started at.
Put me a little ice in there.
Man, so you originally got mine.
She
Oh,
comes
you're
in.
no
I was
ice?
an ice-free individual.
We got one of them too.
It'll make my
I
teeth
wonder why
cold.
she never gave you any ice.
Well, we got all that straight now.
Janet's got, so though she stays so hot, because she wants ice in her glass now.
Where's all your girls?
Yellow. All the women missed.
Tell them about the little auctioneer boy over there.
Oh, yeah.
The people in Madison have a little 2 to 3-year-old little blonde-headed boy, and he can rope cows or feet or cattle or anything he can big enough to throw the rope at. And called Barbara the other day, and she said he was trying to auctioneer now, and he'd go, dip, 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 go, and he'd sell a goat to somebody, and he'd run it out of the ring and get started again.
That's really not too hard to learn either, because all you gotta do is say nothing for about a few minutes and directly say something.
He got on the phone one day trying to tell me about the puppy dogs, and I said, how many are there? 2, 3, 4? I said, well, can you decide? No. And he can't say no ma'am and yes ma'am yet. He's having a hard time. His favorite word is nope, nope.
He's 2.
He's got 2.5, 3, somewhere along in there.
Spread out. Bother you for, yes, that's the sound.
This is much better for you, then. You come to Dorsey, you're supposed to eat what's good for you rather than what you want.
let's go in with good chicken and dumplings.
You
too.
had
I'm
some
gonna
there.
I'm gonna have to have me another little bite of them too. So good.
I didn't eat them, I don't know what
They're
kind of
good.
straws.
I'll have to get your recipe for dumplings. One I got rice is more than that. And Cheryl, and invariably, if she's here, she's gotta raise that lid on the pot and then they'll fall some.
Sure
I
good though.
stirred them, they tried to stick to the bottom.
So,
Too many dumplings.
church doing pretty good on your new pastor, Miss Bernie?
We had the least crowd there this morning that we've had
So did
any
we.
time. But, of course, Herman Boyce Patton and Ordell's brothers in the hospital in Texas County. I guess that's where they went. And Doris and Miss Jessie went to Denton, I think. And, Thelma, Lauren, and, her sister Rebrae that's always there. They only have one aunt left, and she's 90 years old today, and they're spending her birthday down in Texas County somewhere down there. They all fixed dinner and carried down there.
We were down about 50. So this morning, yeah.
Does Miss Land come
Four almost a higher.
to church or something?
I filled out our book today in case they look.
Now, where were
I
they
haven't-
from?
Redwater.
Redwater.
Is that where he lives?
You just
Yes,
Where does he work?
He worked at the paper mill.
Oh, well.
I had to do it. You added to my burden.
Well, the first thing I did was put everybody there for the first week of June, and then I realized I had them all for the wrong week, so I ran
Miss
back
Bernie,
through.
they, have they told the family or have they published any actual facts on what happened in Eagle Mountain?
I don't take no paper, I think it's been some things in the paper about it.
Well, they picked up a boy named Cochran.
Yeah,
Picked up another.
they picked up another one named Morgan.
Do you know who they were?
Well, the Cochran boy, his ex-wife lived there. He lived in the community, about fairly close there at one time.
The road between Mr. Alvin Crooker's place and over at Benny Ives. Jerry told me I didn't want to go that road. Somebody told him that there's, now that's, said something about there's a boat running down there.
Uh,
Across the sea.
but anyway, he and his wife were separated. I think he was, I don't know where he was staying.
Well, Jerry had him in the school room, and he said he's something else. All those folks in New Boston now said he is the one that killed it. The old lady that lived in the vine-covered shack out on between Moss Springs
I know.
Road and
But they think he's one, doesn't he?
they think he's one that,
Well, that was
he
one
killed
of
his
the,
daddy when he was 16.
now that was one of the most brutal things that's happened
Yeah.
here by some time.
So when was that?
It's been
It was
about,
a few years ago.
no, it's been more than a few. It's been about 10 years.
He's 28. I heard.
Well, I'll tell you everything I know, Mr. Purdy, I was a serviceman. And at the time, that's when I served. And I was only a serviceman for a year, and that was in 77. It's been 9 years. No, I was in from 76 to 77. But I've been in the office now since 77. And I went up there one day to meet the guy that owned the place. And it was a great, big, old-fashioned Brandon house with a big hallway through it, kind of built on the order of Grandpa's and those other, but you could tell at one time in its day it was a nice home. And I just kind of didn't go back to the house. I just kind of yammering through it, waiting for this guy to show up. I seen this big dark spot out there on the front porch, and then this trail of dark spot off the porch, and I never thought too much about it. But when he came up there, he told me what had happened. It had just been 2 or 3 months at that time. There's an elderly lady lived there by herself, and the vines, the crepe myrtle and stuff would grow up around this house that you couldn't even see it. Now you wouldn't hardly know it was there. It was just really covered up, and someone apparently hit her with a stick of wood that was piled up there. And they hit with a stick of wood and then drove her off this porch and drove her around the corner of the house there. And she wasn't dead and didn't die for several hours because she kicked out a pretty good hole there before she died. It was really brutal, bloody. This time it was still there. But I never heard where they ever.
Well, it must be one of those things where it's a poor misunderstood kid, ain't it?
Well,
Didn't get his pants.
his daddy drank all the time. And they said every time his daddy get drunk, he'd come in and give him a beating. And I think he beat his wife too. So his daddy came in drunk and laid down across the bed. This boy just went and got the gun and shot him while he was laying down across the bed. Well, Esther Duncan was a jailer at that time. And they locked him up. And he stayed locked up, I don't know whether he said 2 days or 2 weeks. He said his mother came over there. And she said, that's my responsibility. And she said, I want y'all to release my boy in my custody. And she backed the boy up and about her husband beating the boy. He was mean to her. So they didn't do anything with the boy. Jerry said he'd been in one thing and out another all his life.
You said he'd gone to school at New Boston or James?
He was in Jerry's, one of Jerry's classes.
And you bought
Well, apparently he must have drove up there before she opened up. And dude said, she was still in her house using, and she came out there and apparently unlocked it to let him have something, and she maybe didn't know this other boy was with him.
Gasoline, he had been trading with her. Both the boys had been trading with her. Now, I'm hearing that there was a girl sitting in the truck, that the girl wouldn't get out. I also heard that a bunch of them had a party the night before. A bunch of them, I guess you call it the dopamine folks. And they partied about all night and said one of them looked at the watch at 5 o'clock and said, now Ethelbert was telling me this yesterday. He said, well, it's time for us to go. And I don't know what girl, I heard in DeKalb the other day, you hear everything but me to find money rattling sometimes. But they said there was a girl going to be involved in it. Jerry told me when the whole thing boils down, there's a girl that was involved. I don't know how he's out one night this week.
Thank you.
I heard it was one of those English girls.
What English? Which English?
I don't know. They said the rowdy English girl. Now, I don't know who was called the rowdy English girl.
Right, that's kind of an unusual girl.
But they said the girl wouldn't get out when they got up there, that she sat out in the, they was going to pick up her truck or something. But she said they were not supposed to kill her. And she begged them not to kill her, but I don't know whether that's so or not. And said Eva really begged that boy not to kill her. But they've got both of them locked up.
I don't know any English girls except Safina's, but maybe there are
And it
others.
wasn't counting because she was with us, so we's all in it.
Sue finally got her jury sermons.
She has.
I
turned
got
mine
my
She thinks my
Saved
mental
several hours.
telepathy is what done it.
Saved it several hours.
Mama got
You got like,
called on the jury
you
down
might
there
need your spoon.
a few years ago. Me and people in particular, she was, boy, after it was over with, she gave us a blow-by-blow description about this, and they sent the boy to jail, they ought to send him to the gallows.
I served on the jury 2 or 3 times.
We got to call them, send them to jail mail.
Your mother wasn't too crazy about serving on the jury though.
Yeah, but she took that responsibility
Yes.
seriously.
Mhm.
But it is a serious responsibility.
Sure is.
Sue's getting called on she's not a petty jury, she's getting called on a special venue,
Besides me for the good stuff.
They don't tell her.
What
But
is
they
it?
sent her this application, she's got to fill out all about her and everything,
Even
and
though
whether she knows the
the
attorneys.
Attorneys
Well,
and
civil,
everything.
the civil is being held at New Boston,
Who?
but I understood the criminal is being held at Texas County. Where were you summoned to?
You've all.
Civil probably. Civil cases is what I heard.
What did it say, Cheryl? No
You mean
more,
in the new courthouse that they won't be crying in criminal cases there?
no more job, no more
Not
work.
that I know of, they won't, they don't lock nobody up out there in the old jail anymore either.
Well,
And
but
they
they,
don't have room for everybody in the new
I don't do
Texas
something.
County.
No more work, no
Read it
more
first,
job,
then
I
you
won't sit home and sob.
Who did that?
Rita did that for Evelyn. Evelyn's last
Did
day
y'all all
was
like some
Friday.
cake and peaches?
Now, I want you dumplings, please.
well, I can't believe they built that new courthouse and they're not gonna even have
Well, now
criminal.
that, I hadn't heard that right lately. That might have been, you know, in kind of the old courthouse.
Well, I'm sure they got probably about 3 different courtrooms now.
It's just some
I heard when they were building that,
Well,
that
I
they
just
had
thought
a,
I'd
they
do
had built a holding place where they could bring prisoners up for trial and a place they could hold them
There at New Hope?
in the new jail, in the new courthouse. It would just be a little small security room they could bring them and hold them for trial.
Well,
They sure didn't build no, $1 million courthouse. They're not gonna try nothing but this, civil cases.
Miss Purdy, there's a girl involved, and she's telling all the stories about what went on. How come they ain't some word about who she is and them having caught her or something? But that sounds like some of the other stories I've heard.
Somebody said the girl was talking too much.
Well,
But I
she
don't know,
wouldn't-
now that might not be so, that's just something I heard.
Well, I tell you what, I'd like to get some facts
Is
on
that
it, because
around-
I've heard
is that-
everything,
Yes.
yes, that you can come up with.
Sue, don't let me forget, I've got a can of Caribous chocolate substitute for you that comes.
Oh, did you, were you gonna put the peaches in the bowl, or what were you gonna do?
Oh, I'm gonna put peaches in the bowl.
That girl's talking at all, she's talking too much. Well,
I don't know who told Jerry and thing, but he and Betty were out the other evening, stayed a while, and he said that, he said the girl was
that's good.
talking too much. He understood that the girl was doing right one talking,
You don't want any peaches, Cheryl?
but he didn't
No,
tell
ma'am,
me
thank
who the
you.
girl was. I had someone else tell me in
George,
detail
I don't want
that
anything.
they was
You
studying
have
an
no
English girl, so I don't know.
Why don't you just bring what's left over here and
I
then
was
they
saying
can do what
that,
they want?
when you
That
said it
might
was
be
a
good.
rowdy English girl, I looked at George, I was trying to get her to tell me which one it was, and I said that was kind of unusual girl for a neighbor girl.
I don't know any rowdy English girls that I know of.
Well, there's probably a lot of people you don't know in the community now.
But there may be some more.
Well, there's places around these
You want some
parts of the
more,
woods anymore is pretty tough. People hang out.
Well, Eve's girl, one of the girls said that Eve had learned enough about the Cochran boy that she didn't care for him. He was trading with her. I don't know whether on the credit or what. She had also said that if the ones would pay her that owed her, she would have some money. So, I don't know, I know she charged for a whole bunch of them.
We got a letter from the sheriff department in Cass County not too long ago telling us that on a particular place down there, it's only kind of a mountain, kind of a little bit of a mountain down there, and the place got a bunch of radio towers and stuff. Said that there had been an element of people moved in there that were pretty dangerous for us to not send any of our people in there at night. Said it'd be probably all right to send them in there where you mark vehicles in the daytime as long as they stay strictly on the right of way in the road. Said don't even get off the road for any purpose because it's booby traps and everything else set
Where
up
is this
there.
at?
Cass County.
But I don't know where that mountain is they're talking about.
What are they doing?
Well, apparently they're,
Didn't do nothing different.
I don't know,
That way.
except that
Is
the
this a
sheriff's
brand
department's
new?
pretty concerned about them. I
There's,
don't know
there's so
about
many
it.
dope rings now until they just, you know, that's getting to be a
Well,
problem.
they broke up one dope ring not too off far from where this is at, but these people I think must be more than that. I think it must be some of these survivalists, the people that, you know, that just set up booby traps and, that, you know, carry, that are extremely dangerous.
I'm not supposed to eat this, but I'm gonna eat one. They just look so good. You do these.
Yes, ma'am. I went to your
They look
baby.
good.
Y'all better read up.
We about 3 or 4 years ago, the law enforcement people came in there and wanted to know in around in Cass County there any meters that we might have set to someone we didn't on a fairly recent basis that might have been pretty far out in the country and not have a source of water and some other things. And we looked through our records and we found a few possibilities and showed it to them on the map. And from that, they of course had been following these people for some time. They went to an old house way out in the country out there and they were making acid pills and there were all different kind of pills out there in the country. And they arrested, I forget how many of them, a ring out of Dallas and all. They would bring them out here. Had a chemist out there and put that stuff together.
Last year before Don had, I believe it's after Don had Or just where he had that throat surgery first. Last fall, Christelle and myself went down there and spent a couple nights with Don. Spanish. We spent one night and his wife, she just acted so ugly and all like choked me to death. He told us
Like what?
like to have choked me to death. She's terrible. She's violent at times. She gets mad about something. So he stepped around, told Christelle and myself, said, y'all throw you something in to sleep in. And my pickup, he had brought a new Dodge pickup, had a toolbox on the back of it. He said, we won't say anything about it anymore, and I'll just tell her that we're going somewhere. He had a nigger there to take care of her all the time. We went over to Travis's, spent the night, grandson. Travis is a sheriff of Van Zandt County. And he asked us, had we ever smelt this, what is that, amphetamine?
Amphetamine?
And he said, y'all come on, I'm gonna take you somewhere. And he carried us over to Canton. And there was 2 trailer houses there. That they had these amphetamine machines, something, they was making that stuff. You ever smelled that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That out smells anything you ever smelled. That was making me sick just to smell it. And one of these guys, when they caught him, he was in this trailer house closed up with this stuff. He had the machine in there. I think they found him laying on the floor. But how his nose put up with that odor, I don't know.
I guess that's the reason they get away from anybody else,
Yeah,
you know,
I
as
guess
much as
so.
they can.
Cause the odor would bring people
Yeah.
down looking, I guess.
You could smell that before you ever got near to the trailer. And he opened the door and let us just peek at the machine, you know. Stuff they had in there. And knock you down when he opened the door. I said,
I don't know why
"How somebody
people
lived?"
It's gonna do something like that. I don't know why in the world that they just can't go in for some good, clean moonshining.
That would really be better for them, I guess.
It would
and all
be,
this
yeah.
other stuff.
You get drunk, I suppose, and get over it, but some of them things you don't ever get over. Mental institutions and hospitals, I got some people just sitting there, guys got much life in them as a doorknob. Mine is gone.
He helped break up a gambling ring with bulldogs. Bulldogs fight till they kill one day.
They tried a guy down in Shreveport the other day. He was something else looking. He was a big old fat Cajun guy. It took him 15 minutes to convict him.
Well, these guys started on this case out of Dallas, and they called him to help them. And they broke it up, and they had so much in the paper about him helping break that up until I feared for his life. I figured some of them take off of him. So that's what they had.
That was your brother, you know.
Travis.
I didn't know he was alone, man.
And in his
He was
son's
my
best
wife
friend
told me
here
for
at church.
years and years, and then he
Well, I knew
was
your father
sheriff
was, but
Van Zandt County for 8 years at least.
Well, then who's Bill Schaefer? Is that his son? Grandson?
Mhm,
His
his
son,
son.
okay.
You meet him over the mountain.
Porter Buyer.
Hmm?
Porter Buyer, Texas County, and several other places. Buys cattle.
Oh,
Falk, Arkansas, and Mount Pleasant, and I think Hughes Springs and Greenville.
Well, now listen, have you got where you can tell what a cow weighs when she comes through there?
It's pretty good if I got those little big scales that tell you right above as they're coming in what they weigh. I can guess pretty close. I'd say 20 pounds on a lot of them. I gotta sit there and watch a while.
some of them cattle buyers ain't run by that's one of the, well, the biggies on the computer is to be able to go in there and after the buyer buys them, you put them on one order, and then when he sees them listed on his statement there, some of them is the wrong stuff, so he's got to put them
Change.
someplace else over there.
That's what I was talking about. I wonder if she's good enough to get them 10 pounds up where she can classify him.
Well, I guess pretty good, and I can tell by looking at their bill what doesn't go there anymore.
oh,
It
Don
needs
is
to be elsewhere.
kick out of seeing your tape by Mooney Hollowell. Holloway.
Close enough.
At the end of it, he said, now, if we went off these computers, do you have any people would quit? And she said, all of us.
We're gonna send this thing north and everything, and I get to listen to these guys on these tapes,
Have a laugh.
and they just as central in East Texas, and they'll say thang, stuff like that, and I can just hear these yankees up there just slapping their legs and dying laughing.
Don, you don't have that thing on now, do you?
You see any light up there?
Well, maybe it don't have no light on it. You don't have it on, sure enough, do you? Because I wouldn't
Well,
make
smile
a
there and see if it
statement
smiles back.
about
See
that.
there?
It's about
Now,
even.
Miss Pearlie, let me tell you something. The Lord is listening to everything you hear.
I know that, but
You don't have any light on, don't you?
I don't know about everything like that, I swear.
Humans and the Lord too.
That's right.
He's on to you all the time.
More than the truth is the truth.
Well, I don't know that be the truth. I said, that's things I've heard though.
Oh.
She did say
I thought
that,
you
though.
meant about your brother.
You know, a little speaker we had this morning made a statement that I thought about. It's pretty good. He said, anything that I personally could convince you of, you know, talk you into, somebody else could talk you out of it. And he's talking about where you are to put your faith. He said, if I'm good enough to talk you into something, somebody else can talk you out of it.
But,
Was he being interviewed for, or
Oh, no.
considered for that youth?
No, Brother Tom just had a hard time finding somebody to take his place today, and
DJ happened to know.
DJ happened to know him, so.
I got some news appearing yesterday. We took the horses. He was telling me about right out there. You know, every time you go to DeKalb, it's just about like, I mean, every fence post has got a story behind it somewhere, as far as people is concerned. He said one morning, he said he was a little old bitty kid, and said he was scared, but said he went out there. Said it was so dark, and he was scared that morning. It was out early in the morning, and said he was going along picking cotton, and said just in a few minutes he run into somebody who's on the same road he was. It was harsh pain. He was out there picking cotton too. He said it just about the time it got to be daylight. Said there was a guy they saw a guy come up, throw his cotton sack over his back, and went up to get weighed out. Said he done got away. And harsh pain. Of course, you knew him.
that was his brother-in-law.
Yeah. P. Rooney was 10, 11 years old, something like that. But he said, I said, well, P. Rooney, and I said, I never really heard you just kind of fabricate just a little bit of a fib as you went along. But I said, now I caught you in 2 of them on this one story. He looked at me and I started kind of thinking that story over pretty quick, you know, and he said, what? I said, well, anybody that's ever picked a full cotton knows that you got to wait till the sun comes up and dries the dew off. And I said, everybody that ever knew Horace Payne know he didn't work that hard.
Well, he might have been way doing it before the dew got off, so it way heavier,
It
Ken.
was heavier, all right.
But he said Horace Payne was
knocked
a
off.
really hard working man back in his day. He said he was a big man. He said he weighed 160 pounds.
Big man, 160.
He said in those days he was a big man. He was telling about
Used to weigh that much and say I could.
when he was 11 years old, him and Horace made a statement to some guy that Horace and Peter, who was 11 years old, could cut so many ricks a day and of wood. And Peter said that guy said, well, so he'd give them 75 cents a piece if they could cut that. And he said, you don't come up to that, so I have to cut it back to 50 cents. So Horace and Peter hit the woods about daybreak. Woman cooked cake 7 days a week. Every day she had a fresh cake for lunch. And he said, boy, I like that. But they got their lunch with it too. He said, we took off a full hour. He said, when we go home, said he'd just be tired. He couldn't always go home because he'd be crying because he was hurting so bad. And just go crawl in bed when he eats up. And I said, well, whatever happened to that 75 cents, Peter? They did their number of ricks, you know, the crosscut saw. He said, I just really don't know. He said, I suspect Horace got it.
He probably did. He was good at things like that too, wasn't he?
Yep.
Who is the little old guy that runs around Peter in your car?
That's little Ricky Merchant, Buddy Merchant's boy.
He got one of these little Mexican girls.
Yep. That's Ricky.
And he takes it down there and he puts it in the pasture on Jim Proctor's place with P. Rooney's horses. And this thing gets out. And he come up there and he spent one night in my garden in the backyard. I got up the next morning, well, I run him out, and he wouldn't run very fast. I mean, it was hard to get him to go. I got him outside the front yard there. He'd get out there and just stand, he'd graze along there. Well, the next evening, or the next morning, one or the other, I looked out there and there he was back in the garden part there, just walking down the road where the broccoli was. And some tomatoes and things. I got out there and run him out of there. So, Mackie, I called down there and I said, Linda's Mackie there? And said, yes, here he is. And he said, what you need? I said, you know who this little mule belongs to here? He said, no ma'am, I don't, but I'm going to say that's P. Rooney Phillips, because I don't know no other fella in the country that would have one of them things. And in a little bit, man, he said, I'm coming right up. And he drove up and he opened that front pasture gate there between me and the store. And this little old burro, he went and got around him and he went right in that gate. Well, he stayed in there for a few days. Mackie said he called P. Rooney, he did, but he didn't call him. Anyway, Jesse Thrapp had a horse down there that he's been riding some, and this horse throws him about the first time or two he rides him in the spring. But he comes down and gets on that horse and saddles it up. And he took off down across this patch, and this horse sees this burro and jumped completely off my Jesse Thrapp. The horse is kind of skittish anyway. But anyway, P. Rooney and the boy drove up, and the boy came to the door, and he asked me had I seen a little Mexican burro. And I said, yes. And he said, you know where he is? I said, he's out here in my pasture, between here and the store. I said, he stayed in the garden part of one night and part of one evening. He said, well, do I owe you any damages? I said, no, just so you can stop trying to get him away from here. He said, he's a big old pet. He said, P. Rooney told me I could put him down there in his pasture with his horses. But he hadn't been coming back to see about him. He used to carry him down there and left him. And he crawled out through the fence or something. So he said, well, I'll guarantee you one thing. I won't bring him back down this way. And I said, well, good. Are you right sure I don't owe you something? I said, no, you don't owe me anything. So P. Rooney got out and helped him get him. They had a time that P. Rooney's horses to turn around where that burro was in there. They had to tie those to run about 2 different ways. I don't know how they ever got him up the back end. There was just room for him not to walk in the straight party. He had to stand crossways this way in the back of that fence. So I got my movies this thing.
Well, what I'm doing is, I'm just kind of what they call an oral history, but this is a video history. It's
Does it take tapes for that too?
yeah, it's like those laying over there on top of that. Just like a cassette recorder, only it's bigger. And you just put it in there and hook it up to your TV, and the way it goes. When was when were you born, Miss Bernie?
I was born January the 10th, 1912.
1912.
A lot of years difference between your mother and me.
And where were you born at?
I was born at Sims, Texas. Well, in fact, it was over in Siloam community.
It was over where?
In the Siloam community, you don't know all that land that Arthur R. bought, did you?
No. Arthur R. who?
Arthur R. built Siloam. Belton Heffley's brother-in-law. It was on the land, it's the land between Belton Heffley's and over there on the Siloam roads. My grandma and grandpa Shaper lived up on the hill. They had a rent house down the hill. And that's where I was born.
What's the first thing you remember back?
That's the first thing I really remember is we had to carry water from up to grandpa's and grandma's. Mama was carrying water. We were not big enough. And we didn't own a broom to sweep the floor with. We had a sagebrush broom. We had a fireplace. Mama took these buckets and went up the hill, and she was about halfway down the hill with 2 buckets of water, one in each hand. And I got to playing in the floor with that sagebrush broom. And it got afar and I was holding on to it. Minnie was screaming. And Mama set them buckets down and run just as hard as she could. And I threw the rest of it in the fire just before it all burned up. I got a paddling too. Yes, I needed it. That's about the first thing really I can remember about And I remember some strange cat came up there. Mom told us kids to kill it. And we took broom nails and we thought we had that cat dead. 2 or 3 different times we picked it up and carried it off and threw it in the ditch. And one time the cat beat us back to the house. And it got under the house. Mom said, you kids get under there and get that cat. So got to finish killing that cat, and I mean we beat it into a mulch that time. It didn't ever come back to the house. That's 2 things that I can remember whenever I was just a kid. I mean, just a kid. I don't know just how old I was. And then when we got a little older, well, we lived at this same place, and Mama began to send Minnie and myself up to get a bucket of water. Grandma Schaefer had a mulberry tree. She loved mulberries, and she'd cook cobbler pies out of them, and she always wanted us kids to eat some mulberries when we go up there. Mama said, don't you kids dare eat none of them mulberries, now it might make you have chills and fevers. We went up there, and Grandma said, don't you kids want some mulberries? We said, Mama said us not eat any. She said, y'all eat some, I'll get you a rag and a bar of soap and let you wash your teeth, and Manny won't know nothing about it. And I mean, we ate all the mulberries we wanted, and the old soap dish hung on the wall by the old water shelf, just like old times used to be. Grandma brought us out a little white rag apiece, and she said, there's a bar of soap. You know what they've been washing their hands with, Melanie? We got some of that soap, and we just rubbed our teeth with it. We didn't know what a bought toothbrush was then. And we went home, Mama never knew we ate any of them mulberries. That was our grandma's secret.
Grandma Schaefer.
Yeah, Grandma
Well,
Schaefer.
Schaefer is the English name, but there's a German variation of
German,
it.
German. My forefathers came from Germany.
Quick, when and where from? You know?
I don't know. Mama's daddy came from Ireland. He was more Irish, but Papa's folks came from Ireland, from Germany.
You don't know what part of
I've
Germany
got
or
the
when?
papers on it over there of what year that Grandpa Schaefer's daddy came over on a boat, and he settled down there where Mr. Wade Minner used to live, down there.
He came from Germany over into Texas?
He came from Germany to Alabama first, and then they drifted on to Texas. And he run a churn factory down there.
What are you doing?
See that light over behind her, it's too dark.
Well, if I'm not a bird on
No,
there, I
it's just
think I'll get
shining
up
on-
moving the corner
It's
over
just
there.
shining on the thing, Anita. That's
Take
fine.
this globe ones on.
We'll cut it off, get it off and bring it over there. I'll get it. What you done scooping around on the floor?
Because I didn't want to appear in the picture.
You get over there with me.
I didn't want to find you walk behind the couch and show.
Well, it wouldn't hurt.
Except maybe there ain't nothing to hold it on with this.
Yeah, that's good. It cuts the glare off the wall.
Was your grandfather came from Germany?
Great grandfather.
Great grandfather. Well,
You know, Arthur's daddy and him came over there too, or his grandpa.
you did.
He got on the stowaway ship that they was shipping. I don't know whether it was speeds or what it was on, but he hid in that ship and came to America. He came from Germany.
May is, that would have been his maternal grandfather, because May is an English name.
Well, that's where the Mays came from.
Well, Germany, they probably had a M-E-Y or M-E-Y-E-R.
I don't know. I don't know whether they ever spelled it any different than they were or not. But,
Of course, you can't be
I've been
that
introduced,
accurate name.
been introduced to a lot of people. They say my name's Pearly May. They say Pearly May who?
Yeah.
They have more people say that.
And like those
Pearly
news
May who.
reports on Eva May, it was Eva Mae Jackson, Eva Mae Johnson,
I know it. I
and
haven't
that
done
just
anything
shows
accurate
how
about it.
accurate, inaccurate some of that stuff is. But when, how many girls were there? How many kids were there in your family? When were they born and everything? Your brothers and sisters?
There's too many to tell you their birthday.
Just name them.
just name basically when they.
Minnie was the older.
She was my first.
She was born in 19 see, August of 1910. Mom and Papa married in 1909. Minnie was born in August the 9th of 1910. Then I was next. I was born January the 10th, 1912. Then Enos was the next. And Enos was born in 1913, I believe. Because her birthday was the 31st of August. And then Rosie was the next. And she was born June the 28th, but I couldn't tell you what year. I know it was about the time World War I was going on. And then Christelle was next.
Okay.
Jim was the first boy. Christelle was the last of the older 5 girls, and then the boys started. My older brother was named Jim, red-headed, like my grandma Schaefer. Choice was the next boy. And then Travis was the next boy. And then along came Ida-Joy, my baby sister. And then Don was born.
I didn't realize there's that many boys.
Don was born when Mom was 44 years old. He was the baby boy. He's one who lost to cancer. And that concluded our family.
How many kids was it total?
It's 10 in all. I lost a brother, Choice, the second brother. Lost him in World War II, in our service. They were in a plane in a flying fortress going across the Baltic Sea. And he put out the last radio message that ever came. He was radio technician. That the tail of the plane had been shot off before the engine had been shot out, that they were going to try to make it to Sweden, but they didn't make it.
I
It was
think
11th day of April, 1944. And I never will forget that. The 11th day of April came on Sunday. And
Wait, you'll be all right. Okay.
1944.
1944, April the 11th, 1944. That Sunday, I could not get that boy off my mind. I mean, he was on my mind all day long. And it was kind of what I'd call a weird about him, you know. Well, Leon told Enos, after that day is gone, he said, I don't know why, but he said Choice was on my mind. And said I couldn't get him off my mind yesterday. And when we got the word about Choice plane going down, it was on the 11th day. It was the very day that I had this feeling all day, and Leon couldn't get him off his mind. And they never found anything except some of the dog tags of some of the boys, because the 11th day of April in 44, there was a guy that came to visit Mom and Papa after World War II was over with, and he said that time of year there was blocks of ice in the Baltic Sea that the plane couldn't have fallen there. They'd froze to death in 15 minutes. So in 18 months they listed him with the dead.
You know anything about what shore they found the Baltics on the Baltic? They found the dog tags. Was it on Sweden or?
It wasn't on the Sweden side.
It was on the other,
on
Latvia or?
I don't remember.
I'm going over there in a few days. I've been out on that sea there.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I'm going over there.
Well, that's where their plane went down, was in the Baltic Sea.
I've been on it 2 or 3 times, and I'm going over there to there are 3 countries that border on the Baltic. I'm going to one of them, Estonia.
Well, Germany is where they were.
Well, yeah, okay, they were coming up out of Germany, they were coming up northeast. Okay, I know where they were. They had been heading for Sweden or Denmark.
They had been on a bombing mission, is what they had been on.
How old was Choice?
He was about 20 now. 21.
Was he married?
No, he never had been married. Wasn't any of the boys married whenever he went over there. Take it back. Jim married Mary Sue Ashley. And Jim had he was in the infantry in the Army. Choice joined the Air Force, and Papa tried to get him not to. He said in the war, you'd be a target at the plane. But he couldn't talk Choice out of it. Travis joined the Navy. So they had a boy in all three services, branches of served. And when the message came that Choice was missing in action, Papa went to bed and he cried and he cried. He said, I tried to talk him out of it, but I couldn't do nothing with him. But that's when he went missing, April 11th, 1944.
How'd you meet Mr. Arthur?
I don't remember. I know we went to the same school at Ward's Creek.
You went to Ward's Creek?
Leon was my fellow at first, and Arthur was Enos's. Enos and Arthur, they just wrote notes, you know, and Arthur handed Enos her note right in front of us, you know. Bunch of us school kids. They wrote to one another. They never went together. They just wrote to one another for a while. I walked with Leon one time from over, I think it's Pleasant Grove Church and back. I wasn't even 16 years old, and Papa had, I guess you call it a curfew or something on all of us. We never went with the boys as far as he knew till we was 16. But then before I got to be 16, Enos and myself decided we'd trade fellers. And we did, and ended up marrying the ones we're trading for.
Well, Mr. Arthur grew up around this community then?
Yes.
Didn't you say Mr. Leon come to y'all's house once and looked under the bed or something before you
Want to see
married?
what kind of housekeepers we were? He was always pulling some stunt. Now, there's a bunch of young folks, and you know, I can look back and I don't know how we stayed in that cold room. There was a hall between that old house over there, you know, by Ward's Creek. That's where we had our best time. That's where we lived for several years before we
Which
married.
house?
The old house is tore down and had a hall between it. It's there where McDonald's house is. The brick house over across Ward's Creek on the left. That's where Mom and them lived whenever we married.
Where Peter and Jean lived.
Yeah,
Well, how, you said Pleasant Grove and Ward's Creek, was it Ward's Creek a church and a school when you were a girl? When your parents, I guess it was there? Well, how far back does Ward's Creek go, do you know?
Oh, I don't know, but the church is over 100 years old.
It is.
You know Mr. Dave Merchant's daddy?
Yeah.
I think he preached at that church one time. Miss Euler told me how many years, I believe she said it had been, it was long years ago when she told me about that, and Mr. Joseph's daddy used to preach at that church. And said the church was there a long time before he preached there. So I don't know. That made it over 100 years old.
Yeah, because I talked to Miss Merchant and she said something back, he was in the 1870s or 1880s as he preached there.
Yeah. It's over a year old. But I understand the creek was named after a guy by the name of Ward that used to live up there at the mouth of where Ward's Creek starts. Up there close to where Mark Pingham's place was at College Hill.
Well, because it's in, most of these places are named after the
Indians or the people that
well, the
lived
ones that
at
got
beginning.
the Headright survey. This is W.A. Ward Headright survey here. So Ward owned, he was the original one that owned this land here. He
Well,
got
that's who the creek was named after, and that's who Ward Creek got their name after, you know, the church. and
Blythe, you know where the Blythe's graves are
Yeah.
back up in yonder? Well, that's what,
No,
you don't know where they are?
uh-uh.
Well, it's over yonder on that road that goes towards Pegram. It's
Yeah.
up there about it. Well, you know where the Perky place is, where we used to
Yeah.
live. It's back
Uh-huh.
just this side of that out there in the pasture, about 200 yards.
Oh, I didn't know there was
300
graves
yards.
up there.
There's some graves up there of the Blythes, and
That's where Blythe's Creek got its name.
Blythe's Creek. And the first settler in this part of the country, in this quadrant over here of the county, was a fellow by the name of Boothe, and he lived over there where Jim Thrap has got his sawmill. There's a spring there, and some of the maps named that creek over there. But you always heard of it as Booze, Booze Creek.
Yes.
Well, it's Booth's Creek
Really?
on the official maps.
So that runs into the river.
Yeah, all of them
Here
do.
often there's a good fishing place where Booze Creek run into Sulphur River.
You know, everybody call it Booze Creek, but then Aunt Mabel was.
Well, where was that creek?
Well, it's not very long because it doesn't run about 3 or 4 or 5 miles. I don't think it runs into the Sulphur River down
Or
there.
don't it start down below oil, the Granbury, somewhere down there?
Well, I think that the creek is down there. You know, just as you turn out on 561, you get on 259 and start south
Yeah.
from Dobby.
Yeah.
I think that's it right there.
Well, now there's a creek that's down.
Well, I
in,
know it is, yeah.
in Irene Granberry's pasture. And I was thinking that's what they call that
Yeah,
creek.
that's it. Oh, well, Granbury,
Yeah.
yeah, that's Booth's.
Oh, at the back of the old man
That,
Granberry's
that was
place.
Booth, B-O-O-T-H-E.
Yeah.
And the Dalbys moved in the second, and then the Proctors moved in the third. Three families, first
Well,
one.
yeah.
1840, well, Booth was here in 30,
Where'd you get all that history?
oh, I just picked it up from one place or another. This particular part I'm telling you, this Dalby man that lived up there at that historical house, was it Clarence? Died.
Yes, yes.
He told me about it.
His daddy, what was his name? Clarence Jr.'s daddy, what was his name?
I don't know.
Clarence, he was called Clarence Dalby because his boy's named Clarence Jr.
Yeah, okay.
I went up there with Papa one time when he was commissioner, didn't get out. Enos and myself went with him one night when he went to see Mr. Clarence Dalby about something. I guess that's the first year he was commissioner. And it was that, what you call the old historical house there where he lived.
Well, they've got a marker up there. And then whatever his name was, I think it was Clarence, he lived up there.
Yeah,
He told me something about it, and then that Dalby that lived down from the Dalby store down there, just past the church a little ways.
Yeah, that's Clarence Jr. He built a different house though. The old house is not still there, it used to be.
No, he's got a new brick house there. He,
The other one was
he's
a
got
big old
good
white
bit of
house
history
somewhere.
too, and I just picked it up from
Yeah.
one place or another. But, well, when did you and Miss Arthur get married?
We got married May the 26th, 1931.
How old were you?
I was 19.
He was how old?
He was 21 and he was excited and he put both our ages down as 20. And if Lawrence hadn't been along to sign for him, we couldn't got married because then the boy had to be 21 for the additional license. We got married in the Miller County Courthouse in Texas County.
Did your daddy know it?
Oh yes.
Oh,
He did.
y'all didn't have
Mom and the kids went along to watch us get married.
I did.
Papa sent Mom along see for sure whether we got married or not.
Boy, that was a bad year.
You know, we didn't eat out or anything. We bought some bologna and some light bread and salad dressing and some pickles and stuff. And we ate our wedding dinner on Hook School ground under the shade of a tree. Then school was done out, you know.
Miller County.
We got married in the Miller County Courthouse in Texas County. But we came back, see, we lived over at Wards Creek, the house I was telling you about. And we got back to Hooks about dinner time. And of course, Mama carried the little kids along, and everybody was hungry about that time, so we just stopped there and picked sandwiches out of the stuff that we'd bought. That's where we ate dinner.
1931 was, the Depression was really
Yes.
getting wound up then, wasn't it?
Borrowed a car to go get married in.
I thought,
Borrowed Grady Jackson's car.
didn't even have a car. Where'd y'all live at?
Lived over there on the other side of Wards Creek.
I know, but I mean, after you got married?
Oh, well, you know, Minnie's husband got killed. We got married 26th of May, and he was making a crop up there with his mother, or he was making the crop. And then he had some land rented down there on Aunt Judy Heffer's old place. And he had a good team, mules. He was working that, and then he belonged to the National Guard. And he had to go to camp at Palacios, Texas. And while he was going to camp, well, Evan Heff and Annie Bell and their little girl, which was about 2-year-old now. Minnie and Coy and their little girl, Coy Burden, she was about 2. And Pete Barrett, John Barrett's youngest sister. And Christelle and Rosie and myself, we went in 2 wagons. We went down on Mud Lake. And we didn't have any bait to bait the trot lines with, so Evan Heff and Coy Burden, my brother-in-law, got out in a boat with an old shotgun. And they were going to try to kill some bait to bait the trot lines with. And Coy picked this old single shot, had a hammer on it, his shotgun. He picked it up to shoot that crane to have some bait to bait the trot lines with. And when he did, the trigger hung on the side of the boat and shot his leg off at his knee. And he bled to death before they could get him to the hospital.
That was your brother-in-law.
My brother-in-law, Minnie's first husband.
How old was he?
He was about 22, I guess, and Minnie was right around 21, nearly 21. That was the third day of August. Her birthday was on the 9th.
Nobody knew anything to do for him.
Well, I jerked the pillowcase off, and I got a hold of his leg here, you know, and was tying it. And he went screaming to the top of his voice. He couldn't stand that and told me to let it loose, you know, and to please him, I let it loose. I didn't know no better. I never had to have no course then in first aid or anything. And so even Heffy run for about a mile and got a man with a car going out toward Bassett. He came down and picked Coy up. One-seated car, and Minnie and Coy, and this guy rode out to Bassett, and old Dr. Knatt lived there. He didn't try to cord his leg or anything. He gave him a shot of morphine. And he died just as they carried him in St. Michael's Hospital.
Well, if he had, that doctor should have known. Of course, he was probably
He was
already.
excited when he saw that, but he said he had bled to death already in the boat when they saw the blood that was in the boat. Before
Before
he
they
had
got
jumped
into it.
out in that lake, and he didn't know how deep the water was, but he couldn't paddle that boat fast enough. He jumped out in the lake and pushed that boat behind to get him to the bank.
Mm.
But I can still just
Well, no,
recall
but
that prayer.
the guy that got his leg shot off, was he the one that was handling the gun?
Yes, he's the one who picked the gun up. It was his gun that fell in the lake. And when we run down there, Egan hollered, and then Coy hollered, Minnie, I've shot my leg off. And then we didn't hear him for a little bit. And Minnie said, Coy, what you gonna scare me to death like that for? She thought he was just teasing. And we run down there where it was. Egan hollered, we knew.
Was his leg completely off?
Just some flashes holding on here.
Mm.
Old single shotgun, and I don't know what kind of shells he had in it, but it blowed his leg off.
When did your parents die?
Papa died in 1970, and Mama died in 1973, I believe it was.
He was sheriff or something there, wasn't he?
He was justice of peace. He was the city judge at DeKalb, both of them officers when he died. He had been highway patrolman. He had been commissioner of Precinct 4 for 2 different times. He was constable one time in his life. I don't know, he held a public office for a long time. Mom and us kids had to carry the farming on, like picking the cotton, chopping the cotton, thinning the corn. Papa had a public office.
When did you first get acquainted with Mother, Daddy, and Grandpa and Granny and all that? I guess you knew about all that, but
I guess I knew him about all my life. Now, I didn't know your mother. I knew your daddy. And your mother lived up by Hubbard, I believe. And I didn't meet your mother till she and your daddy married. I guess it was a little while before Charles was born. They lived in the little house on the other side of your grandma and grandpa. But we didn't start visiting one another until really visiting one another, I don't guess, until Kathy, the year Kathy and Linda was born.
I thought Mr. Arthur and Daddy used to run around together when they
They
was
did.
kids. Leon, of course.
They did. They all run around together. Four and ball. See, Arthur lived at Ward's Creek nearly all his life. He was born down there between Solomon and Bassett. But they moved up to Ward's Creek, I think, when he was about a year or 2 old. I didn't. I lived at Solomon until I was in 5th grade. We moved to Ward's Creek in the fall. I was in 5th grade. Mr. Arthur Pinkham was the first teacher I had actually moved to Ward's Creek.
Well, you went to Commerce Sub College. You said what school did you go to before you went up there to Sub College?
Solomon. Not Solomon. Went to Solomon until I was in 5th grade in Ward's Creek.
And then how many grades did they have down at Ward's Creek?
They had 10 grades then.
And you went to Sub College was what?
At Sub
11th
College, you
and
had to
12th?
take an exam before you could enter out there in Sub College. It's kind of like finishing high school, I guess you'd say, but I'd had my appendix taken out that summer, and we had a woman teacher down here that was our high school principal, and her name was Miss Mary Reed Moore. And she fixed me up some papers to enter on individual approval. Because when I finished Ward's Creek School, I could not see staying at home and helping Mama quilt. I like to play basketball too much for that, and I went back to school after being graduated from that school. I went back there another year. So Ms. Moore said, well, I'm gonna fix you up papers for you down on individual approval. Said, you don't need no exam. Enos had to take an exam. I entered on individual approval. I had to go 9 months to get a 4-year teaching certificate. Enos took an exam and she passed it all right, but there's some subjects she didn't make such a high grade on. But they gave her a certificate later for her to teach 3 years. And I got a school the first year without a sub-college. And she didn't get no school till the next year. I taught at Orange Creek 2 years, and she started her teaching profession at Odell. She taught there about a couple of years, and then she came to Orange Creek. Mr. John Proctor always thought she'd make a good teacher. He thought she'd beat me because she had more talk about her than I did.
He was on school board.
He was on the school board, and Mr. Dan Elkins and Mr. Grover Johnson. Well, Mr. Grover Johnson and Mr. Dan Elkins were strong for me. They thought I was more quiet, businesslike than Enos was. I guess Mr. John Proctor thought Enos would make the best teacher because she had more talk about her. So when
Well, they didn't have enough education really to be able to evaluate it
No,
anyway.
they didn't. They didn't. Any of them didn't. Mr. John just knew that Enos always talked and didn't ever hardly hush.
What'd y'all do to get by during the Depression? Were you teaching school in those days?
First year I taught school, I got $80 a month.
What year was that?
That was 1931.
The year you got married? Y'all,
Let's see, no, 1930. 1930 is whenever I taught. I didn't get married till in May after school was out. We only had a 6-month school.
Did you say $8 or 80?
$80 a month.
well, that was pretty high on the hog in those days, wasn't it?
Well, we thought it was then. And then next year, well, they increased my salary to 85. That's the highest I drew for teaching school in a month.
How many years did you teach that for?
2. Then I stopped my teaching Ramon. Went to teaching my own. Ramon was born in 1933.
Well, Miss Enos was first teacher that she continued, didn't she? Didn't
Yeah,
She
she
teach
taught and
Ramon
she'd go
and
back
Don
until
and
she got
Charles?
a degree, you know. And, I think so. Pretty sure she did because I didn't have Charles or Don any of them. See, I didn't even have Ramon then, and Charles and Don weren't old enough to go to school when I taught at Orange Creek. Time does fly, though. You get old before you think about it. When you pass 40, the years roll
About
by.
over with,
Seem
isn't
like 2 or 3 times. I thought Mom was an old woman. I thought she was old enough to die when she was 45. She wore a long dress and she wore her hair balled up on the back of her head and she had a hat.
You probably
That
looked
fit on top
old
of
and
her head.
tired, didn't you?
I imagine she was tired with all us kids. But you know them, the big kids help take care of the little ones. You know that. As many little kids you took
Yeah.
care of for your mom.
I got to do some of that.
Yeah, but, you know, a lot of people says them's good old days, in a way they were.
Well,
Did you know ignorant people's the happiest people they are?
yeah.
When you don't know too much, you don't have too much to worry about.
Yeah. And when you get all the education stuff done your belt, it kind of changes all that.
I know it. Sure does.
What was it somebody said though, that they'd rather be an unhappy Socrates than a happy pig?
I never had heard that one before, but I know one thing. You can take a bunch of people in what you'd call ignorant class of people. They're just as happy as they want to be. If they don't know how to read and write, seems like everything's more funny to them, you know, than it is when they really
Well,
learn
that's the
something,
reason
have
it
something to
is
worry
that
about.
exposure has been so minimal until they encounter anything. Well, it's a break in the tedium. And some of the most gracious people I ever met have been in South America and Central America and in Africa, where education, they may have never even attended school or could barely read or write.
You know, they was telling the statistics this last week of how many people in America that can't even read nor write. Can't sign
They
the
say
name.
70% of the criminals in penitentiary can't read and write.
Well, they gave this as the whole of the American people. And I didn't know there's that many American people left anymore that couldn't do that.
Well, we're graduating people from college that can't read and write.
What are you gonna do whenever they have a teaching certificate and then they don't know nothing to teach?
Miss Pearl, there was
Maybe that's why the
One
exam
black
for
guy
the
not-
teachers came up.
2 or 3 or 4. What are you doing, George? 3 or 4 years ago, they sent me certificates for me to sign around down there at school about saying this guy ought to have a certificate, and not ought to have one. I said on that certificate, I said there is no way that this guy should be turned loose on kids because he's illiterate.
Well, that's
He can't
right.
read and write.
That's right.
I asked, they graduated him with their certificate, and I said, what in the world are you doing that for? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, did you see what I wrote? It's just a process.
That's the way they put some kids in
Teachers.
school now.
Teachers can't read and write themselves. All too frequently.
I guess that's why it hurts so bad when they passed that law that all the teachers had to have this exam. That like scared part of them to death.
And a bunch of them failed it.
Really?
Oh, yeah, they published statistics the other day.
Well, I knew this last week. It said something about, well, today's the day, whenever, in the news that night, today's the day when all the teachers knows how many of them that failed.
Well, I saw it in the paper, I guess it was last week, from Kentucky County Paper, whatever.
But now these
I think about
local
10%
schools-
of the people, I think 92% passed at DeKalb, 100% passed. at
Well, now
Kentucky.
Avery got their reports on all their teachers. DeKalb got their reports, and U-Boss got their reports about the same week, and I didn't know.
Yeah,
the
they
others
published
had
them all
heard.
the same day. What kind of work did Mr. Arthur do, particularly during the Depression and everything?
Well, he farmed, borrowed enough in the spring to make a crop on, and made enough to pay it back in the fall. And buy 100 pounds of sugar and 100 pounds of flour, or a barrel of flour. That's 4 sacks of flour, and that was 48-pound sacks. We usually grew our own corn, and we had our own meal ground. We bought a big, over king size of baking powders. That baking powders would last for 6 months, and no weevils would get in it. And you know it couldn't do that now. The flour couldn't either. And weevils did not get in the flour then. And we raised our own hogs. We had our own milk and butter home. And our own chickens, and that helps us feed. Got plenty of eggs, plenty of milk and butter. And plenty of meal to make cornbread out of, roll fish in or whatever. We had it just pretty good. When he'd lay the crops by, well, we'd go to the river maybe, or he and Leon would, and they'd spend a night or two and bring in a big mess of fish. Sometimes we went down there and camped out too. Enos didn't like to go to the river though. She never did like to camp out. She didn't like to fish.
One time not too long before Granny died, I asked her what I'd always felt kind of sorry for Granny because she's 65. I think she went to Mangum, Oklahoma. That was a big trip of her life until she was 65. And then she went to El Paso, and she needed to get any further than that. And I always thought, poor Granny.
Never had been nowhere.
Never had been anywhere, done anything. And I asked her before she died, well, before she had that wreck and got messed up, I asked her what about all this because I felt sorry for her, you know.
Yes.
And I said, well, if you had to do over Granny, I said, what would you do different? She said, well, there's a few minor things I'd change, but she said, by and large, I wouldn't do anything different. She said the only regret that she had, and I've never heard anybody say this since, and it completely changed my attitude towards how successful her life had been. I said, if you had it to do over, what would you do different? And she said, well, nothing, as I was relating. I really wouldn't do anything different. I said the only regret that she had was that she didn't have time to go back and do it again just like she did the first time. You don't find too many people doing that.
No, that's right. That's right.
You know,
Some people was born just to love home life though. I truly believe that some people were born just to love home life and stay at home and quilt and embroidery and crochet and raise kids and raise a garden and chickens and milk their own cows and all. I think that's the happiest life of people that's born like that. But now, some people was born to be housekeepers, I think. and they keep a real neat house. But now, if I was cut out for a housekeeper, I sewed up wrong. 'Cause I always like to be on the outside.
Well, Peter really gets to talking about the good old times and how people, you know, things used to be and all of that sort of thing, and I get thinking about it. And I tell him sometimes about it, and I think it irritates him a little bit. I said, well, you know, I can't see anything too glorious in what you did. I said, you did exactly what was necessary to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, from what I've seen about your generation, they wasn't any better or any worse than people are today.
No.
Because given the same opportunities then, in fact, they probably made a few more opportunities then than they do today because things is different. I said, just don't see any difference in them. But he likes to peddle the ideas,
Yeah.
a lot of old timers do, that they people were great and virtuous and all that
You
sort
go
of
back
thing.
and read the Old Testament and you'll find out.
Yeah, if you want some rotten people, you
I'll
look at
tell
the
you.
Hebrews.
There was some doozies back in the Old Testament.
And they'd change their ways for a few days or months or years maybe. But
Lay them on the chop block and cut their heads off.
yeah, he says, well, he doesn't. He talks about. One that kind of amuses me is women using disposable diapers. Somehow or the other, that's.
That's a fad like everything else.
Well, the thing of it is, if they'd had them then and they
Yeah,
could
use
afford them, they'd have used them.
They couldn't afford
And
it.
there's no virtue in doing it or not
No.
doing it,
They were too costly for people to buy then. And
Well, they didn't
know
even
what they
exist,
were. Uh-uh.
just a few years ago.
Well,
But
I tell you right now, we were for at one time we used old bed sheets. We'd tear them up, and make diapers on them.
oh, I remember Mother doing
And
that.
your mama did the same thing.
I guess everybody did. She made the little overalls for the kids, Charles and Donna.
So did I. And the first pair I made for her mom was out of red material, and I sewed them with white thread. Then, but and he wore them to church. I've got his picture somewhere about the first baby picture I ever had of him. He's got on them red overalls, that white thread shining, and that black hair and black eyes shining. Here he started school, he cut his hair, Ramon cut his too, and he was so old, but here he cut his hair, and he cut it off just smooth right up here. And he wore striped overalls. And when he had a school picture made, Leon Walker looked at it, just reared back and laughed. He said, Perry, you look like a escaped comrade. His hair cut off and properly striped overalls.
Well, what's so scary about the situation? Tell me how fast it happened. Me and Perry and Ramon and Dink and Charles were getting pretty close to being the old timers in here.
I know it, that's right.
And it didn't really dawn.
Ramon was 53 last Sunday.
It didn't really dawn on me until
Now Charles about 54, 55.
55.
Yeah.
It really didn't dawn on me until Glenn died.
Yeah. Somebody has brought heart-shaped flowers. Did you notice that this one put
Yeah,
together
somebody
his
went out
grave?
there. I would imagine that it probably was, my
I figured
guess
it was
is
his wife.
probably Judy.
Yeah, imagine that's who it was. Me and Kathy filled up the head of his grave at one corner when she was here last time. His grave sure did sink quick after his death. It really had to be filled up. G.F. Barrett had to take the front end loader on his tractor and go down there and carry dirt and fill his grave up.
Let that graveyard sure filled up fast, huh?
The first one was buried out there was Arthur, and that was 18 years ago. And that graveyard spotted all over out there now with graves.
Well, you get another 20 years and it'll be full.
Probably. That's why Noble Bay suggested that we mark off places for graves, and the ones that belong to the church down there could be buried free. And the ones that already had fathers or mothers there, or a husband or a wife, could be buried free. But then the grandkids would have to pay $75. All outsiders would have to pay $75. Well, all you children can be buried free, but the grandchildren it will cost for them to be buried.
Yeah, there's no telling where the grandchildren will be.
No,
at.
that's right.
Of course, I hope mine being here. It's like,
Yeah,
this is their home.
we all hope that.
You got girls, you never know where they're going to end up. I got one that's
Well,
fixing to
you
go on
got
the other
boys,
side
you
of the
don't-
world,
You don't know where your boy's going to end up either. Papa and Mama gave a half acre of ground up there at Woodman Cemetery for all the family to be buried. And there's Travis and his family, be buried at Grants Lane. There's Jim and his family, be buried at Simon Hall. I don't know how many more Rose is buried at New Boston. I think the bigger part of the rest of them plans to be buried up there. We figured for a while that Don and be buried down at Gilmer, but he changed his mind. He won't be buried up there.
Well, what was, when you were growing up, what was the hardest and most difficult times, and, you know, for something like Granny, if you saw the fork in the road, which would you change forks at some point, you know? The depression, getting married in the middle of the depression is what I'm thinking about.
We just as happy as they did big in the sunshine. It didn't make no difference to us whether it was depression or not. We had all we were going to eat anyway. We wanted to go somewhere, we walked, or we went in the wagon with the mules for it. We went several different places in that four-wheel trailer, them two little old mules to it. One of the mules we'd get to a bridge, didn't have no balance, and one mule had to push the other off the creek. Now that was a scary time. Crossing that with a baby in your arms and this mule trying to push the other off. This Forge Creek Bridge over here, that slough bridge, it was the main creek bridge. The slough bridge always had banisters on it. But the Forge Creek Bridge, one of our mules tried their best to push the other off every time. Ken, if you taping all that, you turn that off because I've done seen myself on there too much now.
Yeah, maybe tiring you out.
What's Joyce doing?
Oh, I don't know, she crawled on her stomach past behind that couch so she
Can I walk
wouldn't get
back
the
through
picture.
there now?
Why, you're not holding her
What's going on
picture?
back here?
Okay, well, I just didn't want to be distracted from it.
I told him it's time to turn it off. I'm tired of seeing myself on.
Well, I'll show you yourself in the, are you through interviewing?
Well, I've just been sitting talking.
Pictures.
His pictures was made down at Ward's Creek a year ago for homecoming. But that was made down at Miss Johnson's house, I think.
That's good
Pretty
there. She's a pretty little girl. When she was a little bitty thing, I didn't think she'd be that pretty.
She turned out to be one of the
She's
prettiest.
beautiful. Oh,
I
yeah,
think.
she's beautiful.
That was too much in the shade there.
You know what this is, my friend? It's Pepsi Cola from Russia.
Speaks and says from across the water scope, that's not our kind of English there.
Turn around.
Somebody
Pepsi
see
Cola.
that picture later that you think I'm speaking Howard Drive.
Y'all,
Who is this?
that's me and Ken and Misty, and this is
She don't look like him, that looks kind of like you.
Gwen and
That look
her,
like you got a hat on there.
just the light shade from the trees, I guess.
That's Mom, Teddy, and Becky, Ken, and myself.
Jesse and
There's an
Marcy.
Ordell there too. Mhm,
That's Regan right there.
sure is. Yeah, there's an Ordell. There's Florence and
The
Miss
kids
Jess
got
and
what
Amy.
they wanted out of them, putting their books and giving me the rest, and they got some of the better pictures, really.
Is that Helen Barrett?
Helen
Mabel?
Barrett, Mabel, and Miss Sleep.
Oh, it's good of them. Either no one.
Take one of those. Cut me off and give her him.
It's Thelma, Ethbard.
Doris, and those were children. Now, that's the good one. There's that apron in your hand.
That apron looked like it had on shorts or something.
I just look like it's holding something in your hand. Frida said, that's my picture there. She put one in her
Oh, my
picture
Lord.
book.
I've never seen that.
It was
Mom,
made
Fizzle
last
back
year.
there. And whoever took that must have been pretty close.
Yeah, I guess. It was.
James Harrison, Jeff Barrett. Who was that? It's not off the way tough, is it? Pete Payne?
Pete
That's
May, I
Pete
think,
Payne.
and Mr. Barrett, and this is Proctor.
That's good, you know.
Haven't been moved tonight, pretty soon, or after we got back or something.
That's real good of you here. Here's one show them not putting her on.
It's Lisa.
Yeah. Lisa's a likable girl. She's kind of got, well, I mean, she's got kind of like, she don't have ways like your girl, of course she's raised up there. So this is Misty, isn't it? That's right. She's always been awful sweet.
They was gonna get some of the bear and Raggedy Ann, and it turned out to be the end of the road.
Well,
No, this is my oldest brother and his wife from Kermit, Texas, and my sister's in the nursing home.
this sister's in the nursing home.
She's 2 years older than Lois and me. In El Dorado, Arkansas.
Is this them too?
Uh-huh. That's made it my sister's house, I guess. This is my oldest sister. She's the one that had tumor of the brain surgery. And this is the next to oldest one. And this one lives in California. This one lives in Cameron, Arkansas. And this one lives in Lakewood, Colorado.
That's three sisters then.
Sit down over
Oh, I have
there.
5 sisters. There's 6 girls, 4 boys in our
It ain't
family.
fair.
So we're a family of 10
Well,
too.
we were too.
And this is Juanita's husband.
Don't you think the bigger families have more fun?
Yeah, this was made after I
Well,
had.
where's my figure 6?
Yeah, I
Six,
saw one
sir.
like, let's see, another one I saw, this is one I saw right here, one time you showed me.
Now, who on earth would ever look in there?
It's not pretty sexy.
My sister.
It may
Not on
Jesus.
Conway, but it's on this one.
I guess she didn't see
Maybe
the
it
need.
needs to be on
Put my leg or thought I'd want to
Do
get
you
one
have any
$1
trouble
leg.
at all, anytime with your knee and all?
Oh, I don't have any trouble. It doesn't leak or anything like that. It just
Does it
aches
ache?
some and
Does it
Don't you have
I have
any
to wear this
trouble
old
with
Installed.
stocking or
Probably be
swell
on
something
sometime.
terrible.
Who
This
was
is a
it?
friend in Dallas that Mom hired to the quilt.
Well,
Now that's our family. That's the first family picture that I remember of our family having. Whoever made it didn't do that good job.
I think
It was
that they're-
lined up right, but my sister,
10 or 15
this
minutes fall off.
sister's
All of a sudden
boyfriend made that
popped
year
up.
she graduated from high
well,
school.
you can tell
That's the
that's
only
kind of
family
old
picture
picture.
we have.
That's not you,
Yeah,
that.
that's me.
Well, kind of remind me of Misty, when Misty was little, you know that song?
But this is Chris's grandmother and second sister's brother there. This is his grandmother's coming this week. This is his sister's married. She has 2 children now.
You wanna look at this? Okay.
That's
She
his
needs an ABC
granddaddy.
seller list.
Lives in Indiana.
But on that ABC seller list, she wants you
They're
to
really
pull this
proud of
information.
her.
Selling under
Right,
Jane,
so-
check number.
But she'll be working this
She
year.
graduated
She'll not
maternal
come.
then.
You've got a
They're
regular seller
graduating
list.
Saturday.
She wants this
You know,
thing
they
and
should
I'm
have
gonna
a
go
good
order.
college.
She
This
wants
is
your
2 little
ABC check
boys that
register,
Chris's
since you already
mother
got it
takes
somewhere.
care of. They're
Well, they're
twins.
cute.
She wants your pocket
They
thing.
She
your
takes
twins?
care of them and she teaches her own children at home. She's come out of public school.
Well,
Now that's my grandson.
You haven't got too much effort. All you got to really do is that right there. Because the other
That's
stuff's
our
not-
youngest sister, her little friend.
tag number on?
And that's his brother. He'll
Okay.
not be coming this year because
During the
he
sale,
has a
she'll want this
job.
tag report pocket thing.
In fact, the
people can
summer
look at it.
missionaries come to help their church, so he'll be there with
This she wants to
Well, that would
Put
be
put on
Maybe
top of
a
nice.
girl.
everything in the
Yeah,
sale, so
that'd
she
be
can
nice.
just look people's
There's
names up,
some
see what check number they had, because she'll have to make a copy of their check anyway.
This is his uncle and aunt who run the dairy, and they'll be coming this year too. She had cancer surgery last year after they went here.
Makes sense, or can you
I
do?
believe I saw these.
But
I
I
have
didn't
seen
remember
them, I
what they
think,
had
yeah,
seen
I
them,
think
but I
I've
had
seen
some
them,
in
but some do it personal.
the book.
Oh,
and
but
all.
the computer program, I
Sherry
didn't know where
girls and
processor, I need to
everyone's
work
wedding down here in
processor.
January.
Really?
You have all of our diskettes up here,
And this boy, Bruce,
both little red boxes.
teaches flying at Maternal College now. He'll be leaving
wow.
Wednesday to go to Africa to work on
Sort them out.
planes.
Africa, well, I don't know what I'd want over in Africa now.
Well, I sent this article yesterday to give to him. It was by the Wycliffe magazine. It was talking about.
Right chair? Am I supposed to look nice or? am I supposed to-
Yeah, expend extraordinary effort to do so.
Yes, sir. Now, why don't we turn the camera to someone else?
The pretty girl.
That black
Oh,
thing.
I guess that's the picture. This is-
Black shirt.
I mean, every one of those girls look beautiful, that night, that red. I mean, they just,
Teresa from church, of course, talked to both cases. She had to get her picture made with it. I don't know if Freddie ever gave her a copy of it or not.
Profile's better.
Ellen did, and made a beautiful.
My nose is
bride.
crooked, look at that.
The other girl was gonna do too, them dark eyes and dark hair, pretty face.
I think the only thing I gotta do is just
No,
get.
these are not in order, but anyway, these are
I
the
think
ones that
that
my
they got
brother
it.
made. Wedding. Some of those-
Can I just turn that back around and make it look at Miss Pearlie now?
Probably.
No,
better start
doesn't look
with
at me
front.
too long.
These are ones he made and gave me when we saw him last.
That is real good there. Got her
This
all
little
there.
girl, her family was the one that did the videotape of Evan's wedding. So when they got it, you know, went and looked at it, oh, she was so excited to have her see it.
Really have to turn
The
this
wedding,
on
you know,
now.
seeing it. She'd tell her mama every day, let's see the wedding, mama.
That's good, that's the groom's cake there. isn't it?
We took those same, she has one leg.
Uh-huh.
She
She's
had it up
walking,
in the
she's
air.
walking, I guess, you know, they figured that
Chris
she
saw
was-
that and he said, oh, a one-legged bride.
Work on your chair, Mother. I got a hole in my dress.
What do you mean ate a hole in your dress?
Who has got that, Cheryl?
Madison had it.
Must be kneeling down then. Sorry.
Madison had the ABC check register, and they may have the ABC seller list. I can't remember.
Good picture.
Well, they're one and the same.
No, they're not. The seller's list just has a name and tag numbers on it. The check register was a complete check register minus
Oh,
totals.
wait, here we are.
Yeah.
Church.
This is, that's the heating out.
Try that again.
Sherry. She spent 2 years in Thailand as a U.S. 2 missionary. I think it was another one we went maybe.
Oh, I picked up two at the time.
Too, Cheryl?
This
I
is
wasn't
Rita.
afraid of. That was beforehand. Well, these are kind of mixed up. Anyway.
I saw
They
part
wouldn't
of
stay
it,
in
you know,
order.
when Glenn passed away, but I didn't get to see all.
But we had some shots that was similar, but these are all the ones Lois had made.
That's real good, yeah.
Except Chris closed his eyes
He
and
sure did.
he said the lights bothered his contact lens.
That's good.
We got tickled when we selected the pictures that we were gonna buy that the photographer made. Well, this is my nephew and 3 of his girls from, well, that's his wife, and then they cut the little girl out there. He lives in Stamps, Arkansas, and then they have
Nice.
two boys, and the oldest boy graduated this year from high school.
Isn't this you here?
No, that's my sister-in-law from there.
That's good, you here. Say this, my Ken's breaking in. Got little gray hair in here.
He's got a little bit of gray all too.
Don, that was gray hair. Or is it just a color Don's hair? I'm sure.
No, Don was just gonna show up, this is how grandpa was, and her. This is mother and daddy there. Now, when they brought us the pictures to look at, I told Evel which one out of the shots of the cake I wanted. And then she ended up letting me enlarge the one for her and for his mother. And
Oh, that
they
was
only
good
got
when
about a
y'all
half
had
a cake,
picture
and I
of
got
me.
the whole cake. And she come back and she saw mine. She said, "Mama, I want that picture." I said, "Too bad. You have to wait till the anniversary or something to get that, because I think I'll get her one, you know, made of it, print of it." Because she didn't in her bride, you know, picture. She
This
didn't
was
have
made
the
in that
whole
little
cake.
room.
Uh-huh,
before.
beforehand.
Uh-huh. That's a good picture. This is pretty good.
She took her dress the other day and got it all clean and packed up.
She gonna
That's
save it
it.
for her sisters when they get
Yeah, if they
back.
want to wear it.
Well, it's beautiful. I haven't seen one no prettier.
Well, that's his youngest sister. She'll be coming with him on the trip this year.
And she got her eyes
Sarah,
closed.
yeah, she had them closed there.
Well, now, they coming to your house or where?
Oh, yeah, they're coming here. They're gonna stay with, all of them's gonna stay between us and Dawn and
Now,
Sue.
who is this?
That's my sister in Camden, Arkansas. She's the next
That's
oldest
pretty.
girl in the family. Everybody says we look alike. I carried her to Juanita Macmillan's with me
She's
one
pretty.
time when Miss Enos was teaching her class. I was in her class, rather. And everybody said, we doubt this is your mother, but she must be your sister. I would favor so much.
Do they have one in the buggy?
Oh, yeah, there's some in the buggy other than the mine. And that's when they were throwing the bouquet, I guess, and
Mhm.
Teresa caught it, I guess. And that- This is my nephew from Little Rock. And this is Cindy's husband right there. Ira is in the wedding, supposed to come one day this week. I really wish he could get himself up here the day we want to go to Arkansas because he would like to see, you know, where I grew up over there. I guess she's pulling her garter over there.
Who got the garter?
Oh, that boy
Did she
that
throw
in
it
that
to her?
previous picture.
Right here?
No, let's see where did it go. This one right here is the one that caught it.
Well,
And he had known him very long, but he just decided he wanted to ask the Sunday school teacher if he could ride along to that wedding. This is my
Mm.
brother, and that's one of my nieces.
I met one of your sisters that night that looked just like you.
That's
I
a
would
Sophia,
I
the
would
one
have
that I
known
was
who
saying
she
a while
was
ago
without
that,
anybody even telling me.
when I carried her to the Sunday school party, everybody said they knew she had to be related to me. And we do, you know, I can see pictures of us now on the sides of our face, and we do favor each other.
Some lady or somebody was by me that night, and I said, I bet I can tell you who that is. That's one of Joyce's sisters. I said, because they look
Right.
just alike.
In favor.
Now, Miss Purdy, we're gonna send this in to real people, and you're gonna be on real people.
That sounds like a joke.
Get her like that, yeah. I wish we didn't look so yellow.
Well,
I look
it's
yellow
pretty
as
close
yellow
to natural color, considering the
as
lights.
yellow as this dress does, it's orange.
Yeah.
See here, I can change that.
I need more
But it
hair
looks
on the
worse.
top of my head too,
See there?
but I don't have it.
You can't make it lighter?
No,
Oh, well,
see, I can make it real. That's pretty close to normal.
maybe so. No, that's Ira and Chris's mother. Chris's mother and my sister-in-law.
Too nice looking man. This is the front of the church. That's the front of the church. That is too. They had the flowers and things fixed pretty that night.
My
The
brother
arch.
did that.
Oh, he
His
did?
wife, Now you see Miss Enos's flowers that are there. I told Evelyn, I said, well, it's a shame we don't have anything blooming out here now. And I thought I'd just call Miss Enos and see what she's got in her yard. And she said, well, they just as welcome as they can do to
Well,
it.
I'll tell you what, if you want to see a pretty yard, go to Minnie's. She's got some of the prettiest roses you ever saw, and that built-up brick thing there in front of her front door that she puts flowers in, she has got begonias. Every other one is a red begonia, and then every other one is one of these big tame petunias that's half of the blooms is purple and half's white. They're just streaked there.
Striped.
It is beautiful. She's got all kinds of flowers for it.
Don't let me forget to give you that sulfur.
Yes, Pearlie? If you'll sprinkle that sulfur around where you don't want snakes to go, they won't go.
Wonder if I could hold that now, that room or something.
I accused Joyce of being
Here's the boogie.
being an old wives' tale about that sulfur. She said, well, Mama Howard used to do it. And I said, well, it's bound to be true because Mama Howard wouldn't lie about that.
She used lots of sulfur. She had a 25, 50-pound bag when she died. It's half
Really?
used over there. Jack put some all around that house after he killed
Who's
her.
driving for him here?
P. Rooney.
It looks too big for P.
We
Rooney.
never did get a real good shot of just, you know, him. He sniffled through that wedding. He said it's just a shame Mama Howard wasn't there to see it.
That's what he told me. He said, just one thing lacking in that. He said if Nell had been there, said she'd got a big kick out of it.
You see the rice coming down there.
Yeah.
You know they're going to Israel in a week, don't you?
That's what Joyce said. It's
His daddy and Peter used to say they're going across the pond.
What?
They're going across the pond.
Yeah, that most, you know, a lot of older people, that's what they called it all the time, the pond.
I remember Claude Proctor when I was a little bitty kid coming up to the house. He had been in World War II. And he telling Daddy that he had been across the pond where them big guns, where they fired them big guns.
Claude was in World War II? I didn't know that.
No, you don't know him.
Wasn't the one that lived with Aunt Julie?
That was Claude Heffley.
Claude
Oh,
Heffley.
okay.
This was Claude and Morris Proctor. They used to live right across over yonder in a house up on the hill.
Spence was there then, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, Spence, old Spence place they was born and raised. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where they were living one time. Arthur and myself went up there for, didn't they used to have a pear tree or something up
Yeah,
there?
the pear tree's still up
Still
there,
there?
still bearing.
Really?
We
I
got some
believe we
bird
went
off
up
of
there
it
and bought some, seemed like we bought some pears.
a year or two ago.
That's the only time. We went right
3
down here
years
at the end of the
ago.
road and we went through a,
Yeah, that road right out there goes up there.
well, I was thinking we went down a little funny toward the corner down there. Took off up
Well,
through
you might
there.
have, 'cause there used to be a road down there.
We went in the
No.
wagon. We went in the wagon up there. Just keep them wagon.
Not in
But quite a
That
bit of
remember
pictures.
to
You're gonna
when
have to
this
get
was
some of
road
those
they had to
100
go.
page
I've got
albums,
to
put all them
put them
in.
in. I need to get them in there before his mother and daddy gets them. That'd be a good nighttime project tonight, I guess. I guess that's about our picture crop for the last year. No, we got 2 rolls to send
Well,
in now.
that's
We don't know
quite a
what's
few.
on. Maybe Christmas and
Joel and Linda took a bunch of pictures and they've got a bunch of Linda's grandbaby. And they brought them up there and they had 2 made of every one of them and Joel went through them and he gave me one nearly of every other one of them. I haven't gotten them in the album yet. Then I had some of, I guess it's when we went fishing with Don down in the pond he drowned in. Christelle and myself, he took a whole bunch of pictures that day. He wasn't starting with the fish, he didn't feel like fishing. We didn't know he had a camera, and I mean, he was catching our picture on every turn, nearly. But I wouldn't take for them pictures because his wife and the nigger came on out there, and the nigger took all our pictures together. We had three catfish just about that long. We had it on a stringer, and we took a picture of them with us too. Y'all ever have any muscadines up through the woods here anytime?
We've not gotten, I don't remember if us, Joyce will probably correct me, more than just enough muscadines to pop in your mouth. I don't think we've
Really? You
ever
haven't had
gotten.
jelly out of them?
I don't think there's
You
ever
used to
been
have a
that.
vine down here at the back of, on the other side, between here and your mother's over there somewhere, didn't you?
Well, there's one down yonder behind the orchard, but we go down there about every year, but we never find really that many muscadines. Listen, out here in the draw the other day, I saw some wild grapes,
Oh, they make good jelly.
but
Wild
I didn't know they
grapes,
grew in this country.
Oh, yes, uh-huh. When we was teenagers and lived over there on that place I was talking about over across Ward's Creek, we worked a 15-acre plot over in front of that house. And we had corn on it yearly every year. And there was a wild grapevine down there. There was kind of a draw that came out on that piece of ground. We had short rows on each side and grapevines was all in there. We went over there and got them grapes. Them grapes were there when Bobby and Mercer lived over there too, across the creek. Cause your mom and Terry went over there one day and them and Mercer went together some of them. They make real good jelly.
Well, this had clusters of little grapes on them, and just barely forming up. Back
Did
over
you
there.
see that grapevine there on my faucet the other day when you and Joyce was over there? All them grapes. I just got a cutting of a grapevine of Mama's and Papa's when they lived at DeKalb. It was called the Everbearing grape. But they don't get quite as big as the Concord grapes do. And I have never seen as many grapes on one vine as is there. Got it
I put
on
one out of
fire.
organic mothers, and it doesn't get taken care of real well. But I got some cuttings. I noticed 2 of them is coming out.
Well, you'd be surprised what 2 of them will produce.
But she,
What was it, Concord grape?
yeah, it's kind of good Concord grape.
Well,
And
Mercer
she
grew
got
me
a bunch
some.
of grapes off of it whenever it made.
I have one grapevine that's better than 2-year-old that Mercer grew for me, and it's got quite a few grapes on it this time. It's Concord. And then she rooted some last winter for me, and one of them little cuttings. I went over and she and Bobby helped me dig them up, and I set them out back in the spring, and one of them has they have a bunch of grapes on it that long with great big old grapes. Of course, they're still green. They won't get ripe, I don't think, till July, but they're good size now.
You know how you get seedless grapes?
Mm-mm.
You plant seedless seeds.
We do. Now, we have seedless grape, seedless white grape. We ordered it from, I think it was Hastings. We ordered it on a Concord grape, and offered to set them out about 3 or 4 feet apart. And we had white grapes one year off that, and the next year we never had more white. They mixed with the Concord grape. They were all colored grapes. And then got to where we didn't have no grapes since he died, and they haven't been taken care of. They're out there at the end of the berry vine row in the old garden. I think they're about all dead now, but something like the coons, the possums, something take to them grapes when they just be turning kind of good, just before they got ripe, and they'd eat them all up. Didn't get no grapes off that about the last 2 years that they bore grapes. Why don't you turn that off, Ken?